Mother Nature can't rain out the Astros spring training hit parade. But can Alex White slow down a powerful Nats attack and snag a spot in the rotation? Opportunity knocks. We'll find out who will answer next. Gorgeous night for baseball here at Osceola County Stadium, and Comcast Sportsnet presents Houston Astros spring training baseball. Should be a fun one today, as you're going to see the A team from the Washington Nationals here in Kissimmee taking on the Houston Astros. Alongside Jeff Flum, I'm Kevin Eschenfelder. It is so good to welcome you in tonight. Spring training starting to wind down. That means the roster becomes a lot more clear, Jeff. And these two things you're going to see from this roster and what everybody wants leaving spring is a lot of versatility, a lot of depth, and that is certainly something Jeff Luhnow has been able to put together with this roster.
Yeah, it's a good thing for Bo. It's good to have options. You know, when you get certain guys on the mound, maybe facing a tough lefty that day, and you got to throw Matt Dominguez out there, and then the next night you've got a tough right-hander, and you have the chance to throw Brett Wallace at third base. And even in right field, with the way Rick Ankiel battled his way onto this ball club, and Brandon Barnes being a great right-handed option for these guys, he proved it this spring.
And Marwin Gonzalez, another guy who can play those middle infield positions, can help you out at third base if need be, and swings it from both sides of the plate. So you need that. Jeff Luhnow was absolutely thrilled when he talked about earlier calling 9 guys into the office, just not to tell them that they were going to the minor leagues, but to tell them that they were going to be on an opening day roster for the very first time in their career. Give us an idea what a special feeling that had to be for these young guys.
It's a great feeling, especially these guys being as young as they are. They're going to appreciate it a little bit more, knowing that they've rocked the boat a little bit and had a chance to break into the big leagues at a young age. And going into that meeting, there's nothing like it. This is a day they're never going to forget.
All right, Alex White gets the start today. He's going to be battling with guys like Brad Peacock for that 4th and 5th spot. You can throw some other guys into that mix as well, but this is a pressure situation for him tonight from the standpoint that Norris, Harrell, and Umber, they're pretty much set as far as those first 3, but Peacock, Alex White, Bedard, they'll all be fighting for that 4th and 5th spot in the rotation. So the eyes are keenly on the guys that will be on the mound for at least the last week here in spring training.
Yeah, and it's a pretty unique spot for Alex White to be in tonight, getting the start, his last start of the spring, and a shot to make that starting rotation. You know, this is, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. He could have been rough early on, but this last start today could determine if he makes that rotation or not.
All right, it's going to be Alex White going against Chris Young. It's the Astros and the Washington Nationals. Houston Astros baseball, spring training styles, coming up next here on CSN Houston. Well, the Astros and the Washington Nationals, the spring training starting to dwindle down. Only one more game here in Kissimmee. That'll be Thursday against Detroit. That is all that's left here in Kissimmee for 2013 spring training edition. Yesterday, this is what happened in the game against the Miami Marlins, and it was as strange a weather phenomenon as I've ever seen. Not a drop of rain coming down. Rick Ankiel hit a pop fly single that must have punctured a cloud because, my goodness, 3 seconds later, it was absolutely pouring, and it's gorgeous tonight. Whatever it was, it blew through in a hurry. What a beautiful night for baseball this evening. As you take a look at our Washington Nationals starting lineup presented by TXU Energy. This is a team from a year ago that went 98-64, won the East by 4 games over the Atlanta Braves, and Denard Span at the top of that lineup, followed by Jason Worth and Bryce Harper, the Rookie of the Year. Ryan Zimmerman, Adam LaRoche, and Ian Desmond, the middle third. The second baseman is Danny Espinosa. Wilson Ramos will be behind the plate. He will catch the veteran native Texan Chris Young, who gets the start on the mound. As for the Astros, big day for him is Alex White, as he will be making his 6th start of the spring going to the mound. And again, they're trying to shore some things up as far as the rotation is concerned at the back half of that rotation, and that's where guys like Alex White are going to fall in. So these are obviously very big starts for Alex White. As you see, 1-1 with a 675 a year ago. You see the numbers, or this spring I should say, and you see the numbers he's been able to put together. 24 hits in 14 2/3. Last pitch on Wednesday against the Mets, he went 4 1/3, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits in that ball game. Take us through the defense, Jeff Blum.
In left field, we've got Chris Carter. Center field, Justin Maxwell. Fernando Martinez in right field. Looks like a pretty good starting lineup for these guys. Brett Wallace at third. Cedeno getting back out there at shortstop for us. And Carlos Pena at first base, sorry. And behind the plate, Jason Castro catching Alex White on this big night for him.
Now, still up in the air, and we will talk a lot about that between Eric Bedard and Brad Peacock and this man, Alex White, who will be the 4th and 5th starters in that rotation. And we are just about underway here in Kissimmee as Denard Span leads it off for the Nationals. That is outside for a ball.
Brett Wallace creeping in big time against Denard.
And that's what he's really going to have to learn as a third baseman and a guy who's played it a lot in the spring. And that was your position for the most part. He's going to have to know when to play up and when to play back. Obviously, against a guy like Denard Span, the 29-year-old former first-round pick of the Minnesota Twins, he's a guy that can lay one down and a guy with good speed. And I think a very important pickup for this team, a Washington Nationals lineup that's really been stacked. But you get that guy at the top of the lineup, that could really help Davey Johnson's club.
Yeah, that consistency in the speed and the defense in center field for these guys have been lacking a little bit. They went out and picked up Denard, who's going to be a nice pickup. But I talked to Brett Wallace earlier in the year, or earlier in spring, I should say. It seems like a year ago that the spring started. But said he lost close to 30 pounds.
Absolutely.
And is a little more mobile. Probably knew going into the season he might have a shot at third base, which is a good move on his part.
Interesting, because I've talked at length with him about that. And I said, what was the difference? And he said, you know what? It was a matter of learning how to be a professional. And I knew that I would be a better player. I would play longer, be healthier. Got my weight not so much under control, but obviously got lighter, got more lean, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it's definitely opened up some opportunities for him.
Well, here's a 2-2 pitch. Denard Span after fouling that one off.
Did you notice that Denard's wearing the big number 91 on his back?
How about that?
Maybe forgot the jersey on the road trip.
Think so? That's outside 3-2. Let's see if he's got his. Does he have his name? Nope, doesn't have his name either. There you go. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. Yeah. He didn't forget it. Big leaguers don't forget their stuff. Somebody else does.
Never.
Somebody else forgets their stuff.
Yep, equipment manager's nightmares when one of the starters forgets their jersey. They get to pull deep from the bottom of those trunks.
That one yanked foul and count holds at 3-2. Span came over from Minnesota after a lengthy career with them. They needed help at the top of the lineup, get some speed on the bases, and that's what he brings. But a November 29th trade from the Twins, he's a 284 career hitter. So this is a guy that can swing it.
Yeah, getting on base, stirring things up, and getting on base for these guys in the middle of the lineup for the Nationals is going to be a good thing.
You get a table setter for this lineup. That's a guy that's going to score a lot of runs. Here's the 3-2. Missed outside a ball. So leadoff walk for Denard Span gets us underway here in Kissimmee. That'll bring up Jason Worth. Span, a guy that can run. Bo Porter talking it over with his guys. There you see Lucas. Interesting conversation we had in the pregame show. It was even more interesting after we went off the air for the pregame show.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I like him. I like where his head's at.
Here's Jason Worth.
He really resembles Chewbacca with all of the growth he's got going on right now.
It's a spring training beard that started maybe at the beginning of last spring.
And it sure looks that way.
Ball one, that was high.
He's the anti-Jeff Blum. I shave once a week.
Whether you need it or not.
Yeah, just to say I did.
Greg Gibson calling the balls and strikes. Gary Cedarstrom, Laz Diaz, and Lance Barksdale on the bases today. A veteran crew here in Kissimmee.
And now you take a look at Brett Wallace creeping back, talking about positioning. He's kind of in that uncomfortable zone for me, personally. Wish he would take maybe another step back, give himself a better chance to cut down on some angles. But getting in that in-between spot, it's easy to do at third base, and it's kind of standing there right now.
I thought Adam made a great point yesterday on the telecast. If you missed it, just from the standpoint of guys come to the big leagues and you expect them to know everything, and they just don't. And they're still learning, believe it or not, even at this level. And that's the case where he was talking about Brett Wallace and just his positioning. So now Carlos Pena will go out, Jason Castro will go out. They will talk with Alex White, who falls behind 2-0 after walking the leadoff man. Falls behind 2-0 here to Jason Worth. A visit with Doug Brocail hopefully a little bit later on in the show, but the pitching coach looking on closely, as well as Bo Porter. And Lucas Harrell is still talking.
He's unstoppable.
And there's a guy that can do some talking as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. Those are definite candidates for being mic'd up throughout the course of a game.
We had Eduardo on yesterday, and as Brett Wallace hit a home run, and as soon as Wallace hit it, said something to the effect that ball is tagged, fellas, and it was a bomb. Here's the 2-0. That's in there for a strike. 2-1. Jason Worth, a guy that know the story all too well, signed that huge contract, a 7-year deal for $126 million. He will make, it's as if he doesn't make huge money now, but I mean, you think 2015, 2016, and 2017, those 3 years, he will make $21 million a season.
It's a big number. It's hard to fathom.
Well, he's going to make $20 million in 2014. It's a bargain right now.
Could afford a razor.
You think so? You would think he could afford someone to shave that growth for him. Now Alex White gets back in the count at 2-2. Here is the 2-2. He'll throw over. Denard Span drawing a lot of attention.
Jason Worth is an interesting choice for your two-hole hitter. Not really that stereotypical, you know, putting the ball in play, contact, situational type hitter. He's more of a run producer. And for $20 million, you'd expect him to be driving in those runs. But Davey Johnson, with, you know, some of the luxuries he has in his lineup, is able to put him up early in that batting order.
But you look at guys that they have it maybe just by, you know, process of elimination when you look at who's in the heart of that order, because Adam LaRoche, you can't argue with his ability to produce runs not just this season, but you go back the last couple of years. We'll talk more about that when he comes up, but you know, he's a big-time run producer. That one hit up the middle right at the second baseman, Marwin Gonzalez, who flips it to Cedeno, and a double play, 4-6-3. And that is something that the way Alex White was laboring a bit, needed in a bad way. So the 4-6-3 double play brings up Bryce Harper.
And that's good to see. You know, pitchers pitching to contact. Lead off walk, put you in trouble, and guys start to get concerned. But he does a good job, makes a good pitch, and gets a double play behind him.
Well, now's Bryce Harper, the Baseball Writers Association of America Rookie of the Year from a year ago. Came on the scene in a big way, and boy, just never stopped. Came on in late April. He sat out a game with a sore thumb. Was back in the lineup yesterday for Washington, and he was just fine. They beat Atlanta 9-3 yesterday. Bryce Harper had a couple of hits in that ball game. See the numbers during spring training, hitting .431.
Yeah, this guy's a pretty good talent.
#1 overall pick in 2010. They hit the lottery not once but twice, obviously in back-to-back years. 09 with Strasburg, and now, of course, with Bryce Harper in 2010.
Did a good job of building the ball club around those guys, too, and giving them the proper support to make them a contender in the NL East.
That one down in the dirt.
It's not too many guys that take as an aggressive swing as their 3, 4, 5 guys. I mean, I know LaRoche is a little more of a sleepy, kind of laid-back kind of guy, but he's got a pretty malevolent swing himself.
And again, he's a guy that seems like he drives in 100 runs over the last few years. Seems like he does it with regularity. Down on deck's not bad either. Did he go? He did. Did he?
He knows he did. See, it gets so much going towards the ball, it's got to be tough to hold that thing up. I mean, it was borderline, but when you've got that much movement, sometimes it has a tendency to throw that third base umpire off.
Here's the 2-2 to Bryce Harper. Rolled over on that one. Ball stayed down on Pena. Pena was expecting it to come up, but it hit right at the seam where the dirt meets the grass, and that was just unfortunate. That ball stayed down, and I'm guessing that's going to go as a base hit.
Yeah, that's old Miss Lippy out of Billy Madison right there. You don't want to get anywhere near that lip. Osceola County Stadium has a bit of reputation for being a rough surface, but that time that ball caught that lip and stayed down on Carlos, unfortunately.
Well, I'm gonna guess hit after I saw the Ronnie Cedeno play yesterday, that they gave a hit on a ball I thought Ronnie Cedeno should have made, but they still have not marked it on the scoreboard.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, they marked it as a hit. There you go.
See, if I'm Alex White and I'm going for a spot on the rotation, I'm like, hey, man.
See what Harper does here with 2 outs. Zimmerman, the man at the plate. Ryan Zimmerman, the .317 hitter this spring. Veteran third baseman for this club, native of Washington, D.C. Harper can do a lot of different things as he takes his lead from first base. He's a guy, very good defensive player, guy that can steal you a bag. Obviously, what he was able to do at the plate. Yeah, that was misses inside for a ball. 2-0. Came on, wasn't exactly sure how he would be accepted on the major league level. Came on pretty brash as right out of high school in Las Vegas, and he had a lot of confidence to get him to where he is today.
Yeah, the media did a good job of promoting him also, so he had a lot of baggage coming with him as soon as he got into the big leagues.
If I'm not mistaken, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was in high school, I believe.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But it's also good to see him living up to it. He's handled himself pretty good. I know he had a couple issues last year with Cole Hamels and the Philadelphia Phillies and things like that, but he's done a good job of.
That one speared by Wallace.
That's why you lose the weight, to get off the ground.
Absolutely. So a hit, a walk, a double play ball helped out, as well as some good defense from Brett Wallace. Astros coming to bat.
Celebration of the movie.
Our Astros starting lineup presented by TXU Energy. In the leadoff spot will be Marwin Gonzalez as Jose Altuve gets the day off today, followed by Brett Wallace, the first baseman, Carlos Pena, the left fielder, hard-hitting Chris Carter in the cleanup spot, Fernando Martinez, Justin Maxwell, the middle third. Jason Castro has had a torrid spring at .382. The DH is Rick Ankiel, and Ronnie Cedeno makes his second straight start at shortstop, and they will be facing Chris Young, the long, tall Texan, 6'10", 33-year-old, gets the start today for Davey Johnson.
Yeah, another ex-teammate. Talked to him earlier in the spring, was looking for a job. The Washington Nationals gave him an opportunity, and here he is. Not a similar situation to Alex White, but looking for a roster spot somewhere. And he could, I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but I'm sure has opportunities after today.
Well, he has an opportunity as of Sunday. He has an option in his contract in which he can opt out of that contract if he feels that he'll have a better opportunity, which would be the obvious reason of why you would opt out of your contract, to go pitch someplace else and have a better opportunity to pitch. Pitched with the Mets a year ago. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. Again, native of Dallas. He went to Highland Park High School. Played basketball and pitched at Princeton. As you see, Marwin Gonzalez taking a ball one.
Yeah, his size creates a unique arm angle. Randy Johnson was a big, tall guy, around 6'10", also.
Now this is something to see if he can feel the position. Instead, it gets through in a well-placed drag bunt by Marwin Gonzalez, and he is on.
Yeah, that was perfectly placed. You want to get that thing past the pitcher towards the second baseman and force him into a do-or-die situation just like that, where Espinosa had to come in with the bare hand play, and that's a tough play to make. And he doesn't. Marwin's on.
Yeah, it's do or die there. Espinosa, he has to sell out because he knows you can't glove that and set up. You got to either make it or not.
With the way Marwin's running.
Yep. From the left side as well. So Marwin Gonzalez on with that leadoff bunt single, and here's Brett Wallace. Brett hit an absolute bomb yesterday. Just to the left of the batter's eye, and it was crushed. That one fouled back.
Feeling pretty good, letting it fly on that first one, too. Talked to him also about his swing, getting his hands away from his body, creating a little more space, a little more ease for the hands to get through that zone a little bit. And, you know, showing it this spring with the big numbers, and obviously, like you said, driving the ball out to the deepest part of the ballpark is a beautiful thing.
3 straight left-handers to face Chris Young here in the start of this lineup for the Astros. Marwin Gonzalez and, of course, Brett Wallace and Carlos Pena waiting on deck.
Now, getting back to Chris Young's arm angle and where he lets go of the ball, most pitchers, you know, about 6 inches shorter than he is as standard. But right there, you can see right there that high fastball comes out at a weird angle that guys aren't normally used to, and it doesn't change that plane. And by the time they realize where it's by them, and they have a late swing on it, even at 88 miles an hour.
It's his 4th start of the spring. 1-0. His ERA is 3. He's given up 2 home runs in 12 innings of work. So walked 6 here in the spring. That one fouled back as well. Young is one of the all-time leading rebounders in Princeton basketball history.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But he's a big guy. It takes him a long time to unfold. But he's worked that slide step into his motion to keep those runners at bay.
He was a 3rd round pick by Pittsburgh back in 2000. Never got to the big leagues with the Pirates. Ended up traded to Texas, and that's where he made his debut as a Ranger. And again, he is went to Highland Park High School, same place as guys like Brett Stafford there in right there in Dallas. A ball and 2 strikes to Brett Wallace.
Give Marwin one more pitch before he takes off.
That's what he does here. He'll stay. Got him with that high fastball. Hard to lay off that, no matter how much you tell yourself. Take a look at the defense for the Washington Nationals. Is Bryce Harper in left, and Art Span in center, and Jason Worth is the right fielder. Ian Desmond and Danny Espinosa, the middle infielders. Corner infielders, Zimmerman and LaRoche. Chris Young is on the mound. His battery mate is Wilson Ramos.
Yeah, playing with Chris, we called that pitch that Wallace just struck out on the invisible. You just kind of lose track of it, don't really know which way it's going to go, and it just stays up and gets right by him.
And isn't it obviously very difficult to, no matter how much you tell yourself, don't
swing. Yeah, I think Freud could come in here and give us a lesson on why we swing at that pitch better than I could.
That was a little closer than maybe Marwin would have liked.
Maybe leaning a little bit.
Yep. Both pitchers allowing base runners here in this first inning. Carlos Pena, the veteran, at first base today. Rick Ankiel has the DH duties for the Astros. And it is a gorgeous night here. Yesterday, the wind was blowing about 35 miles an hour. It was, once it started to rain, it was gray and hazy all day long, very windy, and then, man, it just absolutely came down in buckets, and that blew through here, and it's a gorgeous day. Humidity is down. Temperature, I'm guessing, in the upper 70s right now. It'll get cool before the evening is over.
Yeah, I'm glad I only read about that, heard about it.
Yeah, several times.
To be in the middle of that.
Hey, we couldn't even leave the booth. It was that bad. Not today, though. Chris Young trying to find a spot in that rotation, and what a rotation it is when you take into consideration. You know, when Ross Detweiler's your number 4 starter, you got a little something going on. Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez, Jordan Zimmerman, Dan Herron's your probably number 4, yeah, number 4, number 5, yeah. So
Dan Aaron was originally scheduled to pitch this game. And you know what Young said about his ability to opt out of that contract? No hard feelings at all towards the Washington Nationals. Called him a class organization. Here's the 3-0. That's in there for a strike, 3-1.
And these contracts are typical for guys, like Chris Young, veterans, looking for a way to break onto a team. And he was fortunate enough that the Nationals actually gave him an opportunity to come out here and pick up some starts and get seen. And so the same thing goes for guys like Brandon Laird, who had a tough break today, getting let go, or at least sent down. Played well enough to make the club, but numbers dictate that he had to get sent down. But at the same time, there's 29 other teams out here with scouts watching. There's word of mouth. I mean, there's plenty of other opportunities out there.
Count full at 3-2. Marwin Gonzalez was going with that pitch. See what they do here on the 3-2 with 1 out.
Interesting, too. 3-2, 1 out. High strikeout guy at the plate.
Yeah.
Taking a chance, stealing a base right here. But it's good to get movement out of the defense, too.
Here's the 3-2. That just missed.
Carlos has got a great eye as it is.
So Pena's aboard on a walk. Marwin Gonzalez had a bunt single to start things. He moves to second with 1 out. Chris Carter, the batter. Carter did 268 this spring. Big time power. Where they've really been happy with him is he's improved his defensive skills in left field. And it's obviously not an easy left field to play in Houston.
Yeah, I know that was a big question for them coming in. They knew that the bat was going to be there, especially in that ballpark, like you were saying. I mean, that left field being so close helps them offensively, but brings it into play, how to play it as a left fielder. And Chris being new, it's going to be a lot of new challenges when they do break camp and get there to try and work on those things.
That's where you weigh offense versus defense, and it's some of the tough questions that you have to ask as far as what you want in certain positions.
And you were brought it up earlier that it might be one of those situations where if the Astros do have a lead late in the game, where Brandon Barnes or Fernando Martinez or somebody comes in and relieves them in left field to close out a game.
Was in there for a strike. It's 1-1 to Chris Carter. Came over from the Oakland A's in the Jed Lowry trade. Carter didn't play in yesterday's game. He was able to hold up on the invisible from Chris Young.
Sometimes you got to learn your lesson from watching other guys. And Greg Gibson, the home plate umpire, has a pretty tight zone early on today.
Astros sent Jed Lowry and Fernando Rodriguez to the A's, and of course Chris Carter, one of those coming back over. Seen a couple of guys, a lot of guys acquired in the trades, whether it be in the offseason or during the season a year ago. Here's a 2-2 pitch from Chris Young. That would hit the dead center field, and Denard Span comes in, makes the play. That's a tough read for Marwin Gonzalez and Carlos Pena on the bases. It was also a tough read for Denard Span in center field. Full swing from a big guy that can hit it a long way and kind of got it off the end of the bat.
Say, when you're expecting that ball to be driven over your head, your first step's always going to be back. But even so, when the ball's hit directly at you, it makes it a lot tougher to get that angle to see where that ball's going. But luckily has the speed to make up for it.
Find the ball. And
good old number 91 out there.
Yep, that's right. I think he's got a chance to
make the big club. Good, isn't he?
Number 91.
That's great.
Denard Span. Maybe if you found his yeah, that's a good point. If you find his jersey, please return it to the concession stand. Here's Fernando Martinez. That's in there for a strike.
They didn't have a chance to go by the pro shop before.
Yeah, see, that's the thing now. All you got to do is send a clubby to the pro shop. I guess you can't do it if you're on the road.
A little tougher in spring. Some of those big league stadiums might have a chance. He's probably getting a pretty good ribbing from the guys in the dugout, too. Ball players never let those things go by.
That evens the count at 1-1. Josh Young has faced the Astros several times. He's been with the Rangers. He's been with the Padres. He was with the Mets a year ago. No stranger to this club. He did well in the second half of the season for the Mets last year. He made 20 starts for New York. That ball yanked foul. It's hit a ton, but well foul.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Fernando's hands this spring. Obviously haven't had a chance to watch him too much before this, but today and a couple other broadcasts we had earlier, he does not miss fastballs on the inner half. His hands get to that ball quick and gets the barrel on it just too quick. Hammered it foul.
Yeah, it's a huge talent. You don't know the story of Fernando. He's just a huge talent for the New York Mets in that organization. Just never could stay healthy, never really had the opportunity, right place at the right time. And when the Astros saw that he was available, they were able to jump at the chance. That ball hit high in the air to Jason Worth. He'll battle the sun, come in and make the play. So the Astros go down quietly after an opening single. The Astros will have to settle for a hit and leave 2. And, well, the Dynamos, Davis and Bruin, will be sharpening their axes when they visit the Portland Timbers. Houston at Portland Saturday, April 6th at 9:30 only on Comcast Sportsnet. Your home for your home teams. Threw me a curve
That was a good one. Yeah, I was trying to read along with you.
I was going standard there, man. I had to kick into the creative. Didn't realize. I should have read it through that before. Why didn't you tell me?
I was just as confused as you were.
Hey, we want to remind you, Jeff Luna will be visiting with us coming up in the 4th inning. Interesting this time of year. Still a lot of fans. Not much baseball. In fact, only one more game here at Kissimmee for the fans to take in. Yesterday they had cut short by a half a game. I got to see only a half a game, but that said, today we will have a full 9 innings of baseball. I can promise you that. I can at least promise you 8.5. I can't promise you 9.
Yeah, 8.5 would be a good thing for us.
Adam LaRoche leads it off here in the 2nd. As distinctive a swing as there is in baseball. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It looks like he's half asleep up there, just kind of wiggling it. But as soon as that ball gets near the zone, he is ready to give that thing a whack.
That open stance and just able to explode into the ball. The last 2 seasons, and we talked about this earlier, but the last 2 seasons that he has been healthy, 2010 and 2012, he's driven in right on the button 100 runs in each of those 2 seasons.
That's nice to have from your first baseman. Consistency and run production.
Yeah, he's a guy, he'll strike out a lot, but he'll also help you out. He had 271 back in 2012. He had 33 bombs and drove in those 100 runs in that 2012 season for the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, what makes that even more impressive is how unbelievably slow he gets off to the season. I mean, his Aprils and Mays have been horrendous in the past, yet he still continues to drive those runners in and put up the numbers he needs to get a job.
That misses for a ball. 1-2. He has been a steady professional for a long time in the big leagues. Alex White trying to make his way there. 24-year-old deals the 1-2 pitch. That one fouled back.
It's a good pitch right there. Not exactly where he wanted it, but just elevated enough to where he could only foul it off.
Alex White, back first-round pick in '09 of Cleveland. Been involved in a big deal. The Jimenez deal that sent Baldo Jimenez from Colorado to Cleveland. He was a former first-round pick, though, like I said, pitched at the University of North Carolina. So just 24 years old. Tough to judge anybody by their numbers and what they're doing, even with the humidor in Colorado. I think guys just pitch differently there. Here's the 2-2. He struggled a year ago, but now looking for new life here and a chance to hammer down and really get into the back part of that rotation for the Astros.
Yeah, I think anybody that pitches in Colorado, you go in there with every intention of having a good mindset, but eventually that ballpark's going to creep into your head.
You see the numbers in Colorado: 5.51 ERA, went 2-9 and made 20 starts. Always remember when they signed Denny Nagel in the same offseason as Mike Hampton, and that was one of those that was that time when you just knew, man, if those guys couldn't go in there the way they had been dealing, man, who can? Take a look at this pitch by pitch as he carved up a pretty good hitter right there. Our pitch by pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers.
Good fastball to get ahead. Come back for foul ball, get him 0-2, and then he can do whatever he wants with them. Get off speed down and away. Got away with this one up in the zone a little bit, but made the adjustment.
And again, able to punch him out. And it's a pretty good hitter. He was able to make look a little just like he was off balance from the very beginning, and that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, if you can make a big league hitter like that walk away kind of shaking his head as and what pitch did I just swing at, that's a good thing.
Ian Desmond swings through that one. It's 1-1. What a season. Talk about guys that had good years a year ago. You wonder why the Washington Nationals had such a good season. Guys like Ian Desmond, an all-star, didn't play in the all-star game, but he was a National League all-star last year. 292, won a Silver Slugger Award.
Yeah, it's nice when you get those years from guys you didn't really anticipate. It just adds to the beauty of how their season went.
A talented middle infielder, Ian Desmond, the shortstop. Hitting .283 this spring with a couple of home runs. Here's a 2-1 pitch. That one fouled off on the right side. The North Carolina Tar Heel couldn't be too happy with what he saw his basketball team have happen to him yesterday when they went down to Kansas. They've got bigger fish to fry right now, though.
I was going to say, I tell you what, it's tough for a lot of alumnus around the country to watch this tournament this year.
Speaking for a guy that went to Cal. That's all gravy for you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, us getting out of the first round was a bonus.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. That is in there for a call, strike 3, and it's 2 away.
Great pitch, fastball down in the zone on the outer half, locked him up.
A little paint right there. My goodness.
Big, strong Texan. Oh, he's not from Texas. I'm sorry, that was Chris Young.
That's all right. North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Texas, North Carolina. Both have good barbecue.
Yep. Pretty simple motion to the plate, though. Nice and compact for the size that he is.
That one swung on. Two-hopper right at Marwin Gonzalez. Throws across. And that'll do it. 1-2-3 go the Nationals in the second. Played an inning and a half. We're scoreless. Bottom of the second inning. So far, so good. Both of these pitchers had to just weave down on the road just a little bit. For the most part, though, they have been solid to start this game. Chris Young getting the start today for the Washington Nationals. Of course, it'll be Alex White, who's on the mound here for the Astros. And joining us from just outside the Astros dugout, Astros pitching coach Doug Brocail. Broke, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
What's up, Dougie?
Doing very, very good. You know, Jeff Blum was telling us some Doug Brocail stories about pitching here in Kissimmee on the day in which the wind was blowing out. We won't talk about those, but I will tell you this: the whole lunchroom was laughing.
Good times, Doug.
We appreciate having the entertainment.
It had nothing to do with me telling the guys to back up all the way.
He knows exactly what it was. Yeah, buddy, that was a good day, wasn't it?
Hey, was that the day that I gave up the bomb over the left field light standard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and every time you turned around, you saw the back of everybody's jersey chasing down the ball to the wall.
I had great springs.
And when they finally came to get you, what did you? You were glad, or you were wondering what took them that long to come get you, right?
Well, the thing was, I don't think that I got an out that day.
that ball hit Justin Maxwell, so he'll.
That was one of the. Well, I think every time somebody came out to get Doug, it was always there was fear in the manager's eyes. But that day, it was a special look on Cecil Cooper's face.
Yeah.
When he came out to get Doug. Oh boy.
Hey, Doug, let's talk about this staff in the back half. I guess that's where the real questions are. You have to be, I guess, happy with what you've seen so far. Obviously, it's a work in progress, and that goes for every position. Probably just about every club has the same situation. But what you've seen so far and the way your guys have worked, have you been happy with what you've seen?
I have. You know, it's been a struggle to get guys innings at times. Having this many.
Look at that ball drops right between the two. They'll get the force at second base on Maxwell. It got hung out to dry, but that goes a pop fly single for Castro. When it's going your way, it's going your way. That's what happens with 382 hitters. Ball falls in like that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ted.
Well, I was just saying that, you know, it's been a struggle at times. We haven't had any B games, so it's been a struggle to get the short inning guys work. But we've worked our way around it. We've thrown some, you know, simulated games. Wesley yesterday needed to throw, so I got him hot, took him down to the cage during the rain out, and he ended up throwing like 25, 30 pitches just to get work. And, of course, he's down today because of it. But, you know, we get our work in when we can. And if we can't get him in a game, it doesn't matter because I can take him on the side and throw him 30, 40 pitches that you know, really don't mean anything, but they do in the long run.
Hey, when you look at this type of year, we spend so much time thinking about the rotation and who's going to be a fourth starter, who's going to be a fifth starter. I'm curious about the bullpen. Do you think about guys and who you're starting to get them wound up into? Because, you know, you're obviously going to use guys from back-to-back days, and it's something that maybe you hadn't been able to do quite as much in spring training.
Well, we're going to start working that in. You know, Wesley's had a back-to-back. Breeze has had a back-to-back. Varys is going to get one today. Fields is going to get one tomorrow. So, you know, it gets us into position so we know come opening night what can be expected of the guys. If they can bounce back, and if they can't, then you know, we've got some struggles to go through. But hopefully these guys don't have a problem with it and they can get through it, and it'll lead to good things down the road.
You know, fourth, fifth starters, and then that's going to obviously leave a guy. It's going to be your long man, or possibly two to be your long man. That one hit on the ground. And the double play. So, Doug, stay with us for another half inning?
I will do.
All right, buddy.
I can't be. I got to go down there, though, during.
All right. Well, we will talk to you soon. Scoreless here as we go to the top of the third inning. Take a look at our pitch-by-pitch brought to you by Steel. A chance to see a guy really work on Adam LaRoche, and you see in which Alex White missing high, but then you see a guy try to work all sides of the plate, change speeds. That's what's called pitching.
Yeah, he did a good job of mixing his pitches up in the zone, down in the zone. And he wasn't afraid to double up on pitches. That's what sometimes guys do not do. They're fearful of throwing that back-to-back pitch because they think the hitter might be sitting on it a little bit. But Alex did a good job and showed enough confidence in his stuff to go back to that changeup twice and get the punch out.
Alex White, a couple of strikeouts so far as he's faced one over the minimum here just through the first 2 innings. Walked Denard Span in the first. He gave up a single to Bryce Harper, but besides that, he's been very, very good and was able to strand the runners there in that first inning, and we are scoreless here going to the third. There's a shooting star working for you. A little old school there. I mean, the hats.
Classy look, the bright orange.
See, there you go. Well, they're selling them, too. There's a lot of orange and blue down here. That is beauty of spring baseball. Fans got to get the new gear, get the first chance.
Yeah, the MLB and New Era have done a great job of...
That's retro there, buddy.
That what it is.
You're
yeah,
retro.
In the retro, right? Yeah, but they've done a good job of incorporating the new colors and, you know, giving fans options.
Well, the club breaks spring training, head back on Thursday evening. A couple of exhibition games against the Chicago Cubs over the weekend, and then it gets started on Sunday. Texas Rangers come in, and historic first ever American League game for the Houston Astros. That's in there for a strike. To Wilson Ramos, Venezuelan-born catcher who's hitting .308 here in the spring.
It's going to be exciting having a bunch of new ball clubs run through Minute Maid Park. I think, as a fan. I mean, I know that everybody kind of gets stuck in their ways with the National League and what's been going on, but...
You played in both.
Yes.
As a player and as a guy, and you're the perfect guy to ask about this because you're not a guy that always played every day. And that's what I've always heard the complaint, that one hit up the middle. It's going to be a tough play. Ronnie Cedeno coming across, makes the play, had the right man running in the catcher, and a good scoop and throw from Cedeno, and there's one away. But as a guy who may not play every day, you know, in the American League, you can sit on the bench a long, long time. You may go a week without an at-bat.
That is a tough thing to do, and you're exactly right, because there were situations where, like when I was with the Chicago White Sox, it grew into a different situation where I came into late in the game at first base for Paul Konerko. But if you knew you weren't in the lineup, you were pretty much done for that day. And I know once we got into the postseason, we played a lot of American League until we got to the World Series. If I wasn't in the lineup, I was not going to play. That was just a given. And that's the unfortunate thing about the American League is that, and like we were talking about earlier, the versatility of the lineups that Bo can work with. If a guy gets hot, he's probably going to keep going with that guy. And if you're the guy that's behind him, you're going to have to find a way to stay in shape and be ready for when Bo calls your number.
A lot of Astro fans would wish that was the case. That one hit. Fair ball. Chris Young would probably have rather just punched out. Instead, he'll have to run the bases. That ball right over the top of the bag.
Looked like it caught the umpire by surprise down there. He didn't know what to call her.
It obviously went over the top of the bag.
Now you've got a log jam at first base. Exactly. 6'10" Chris Young over there.
But if you need somebody to post him up, you're going to have a hard time finding. It's right over the top of the bag.
Yeah, he could do a good job, maybe a little pick and roll in front of Carlos Pena.
This is where you need to have the high school, the courtesy runner.
Yeah, that would be good.
Get the pitcher running.
The Albert Pujols runner. Did you hear about that earlier in spring?
What's that?
He came back from his knee surgery, started playing in some games in Arizona, got a hit. Both managers talked about it before the game. Hey, we're going to have a courtesy runner for Albert and his hurt knee. Of course, Albert got a courtesy runner.
Call him Prince Albert.
Exactly.
Can you imagine that? Courtesy runner for Jeff Blum?
I'm sure there's plenty of managers I played for that wanted that option.
Should come as no surprise that they're not holding him on. This one ball hit to right. Martinez there to make the catch, and there's 2 away. A good solid start thus far as we are through 2 2/3 for Alex White. And Jason Worth to take his time coming to the plate. The Washington Nationals team won the division last year. Davey Johnson was the National League Manager of the Year. He had a lot of awards headed to Washington, D.C. last year. Some guys come up with special seasons. Jason Worth swings and misses at strike one.
And they had a special season shortened. They probably wish they would have reversed the order they used with Strasburg. Maybe held him off early in the season and had him later in the season to push through. That'll change their playoff a little bit.
It was certainly something to talk about. Something obviously that won't be the case this year, but you know, to the front office's credit, they made a decision and they stuck with it. And
yes.
They did not waver, and that's, you know, that's one of those deals. You're going to be either all in. That's both feet in as far as that's concerned, because Mike Rizzo certainly could have and was criticized for the decision, but he said, you know what, it's my call. This is what we're doing.
And good for him. I mean, that's the beauty of baseball too, is that there's opinions for everything. But Mike did a great job of making the call, laid down the law, and stuck to it.
He's also the executive of the year of the National League a year ago. That one misses. 2-1. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs to Jason Worth. Worth it into a 4-6-3 double play after Denard Span had walked in the first. We're in the third. Chris Young, Washington pitcher, at a single right over the top of the bag. Denard Span flew out to right. This is where we stand with 2 outs. Excuse me, swing from Worth. He stays alive. 2-2. At this time, you know, guys, I know you're ready to get home. You're ready to get back. See, you know, especially the veterans. You know, you got kids at home, and you're ready to get back home and just get this. I hate to say it, get it over with, but
it's a fact. It's just a part of the game.
It's just, and you know it going in. You know that you know going in that you're going to be excited for the first 2 weeks of it. You're going to be for about 2 weeks, and then the last week you're just going to be pulling your hair out, ready to get home.
Yeah,
especially this year, because with the WBC and the longer spring trainings.
Yeah, it's amazing how long this spring has actually gone. It's amazing. But you know, there's 2 different groups of players in spring training. You know, you got the veteran guys who are established on the team and kind of going through the motions, getting their work done and get ready for the season. And then you've got the younger guys, like most of the guys here in Astro Camp, who are, you know, they're excited. Each day means something to these guys. But like you said, this last week in camp, they made some final roster cuts. Guys have a pretty good idea where they're going to be. And we want to start doing it under the lights and in front of the, you know, TV cameras on a nightly basis. So, you know, they're itching a little bit.
There's a 3-2 hit into left center field, and Young will go first to third. Of course, moving with the pitch on 3-2 with 2 outs, and now first and third for the Washington Nationals in Bryce Harper. So the Nationals looking for a little 2-out rally here in a scoreless game. Join me on Sports Talk Live as we wrangle up some noteworthy sports guests and have plenty of buzzworthy opinions and play-by-play analysis. You never know who's going to stop by. Guys like Jeff Blum from time to time. That's on Sports Talk Live, weekdays at 5 o'clock. Bryce Harper, the batter, and now all of a sudden what looked like a very benign inning is starting to rear up just a little bit on Alex White. You had that Wilson Ramos. You got easily, well, not easily, but a good play to get Ramos in the 8th spot. And then you're thinking you're facing a pitcher in spring training. He hits one right over the bag at first base. Get Denard Span to fly out, but now Jason Worth with a single. National set up first and third for Harper.
Yeah, those pitchers getting hits screw everything up. But a good chance for Alex White to make some pitches against a very good hitter.
Missed outside.
Make an impression. Bo Porter and Doug Brocail.
Ball 1 to Bryce Harper. Hit 270 with 22 home runs, 59 runs batted in a year ago. He made his major league debut. It was against the Dodgers, I think, at Dodger Stadium, was it not?
I think you're right, yeah.
Came up and banged one off the wall, hit about a 2-hopper to the second baseman, and then got him by an eyelash. It was one of those type deals where, you know, just played the game at a little different speed than everybody else.
Yeah, he was running around, helmet flying everywhere. Hit the high socks, smashing into walls.
26 doubles, 9 triples a year ago. He is a very exciting player.
Yeah, last time I saw him play here, he tried throwing somebody out on a back pick from left field. So, got to keep your eye on him.
I think outside the box, it's 2-0.
This could be a good situation where he's going to try and let one go right here. See if Alex tries to mix it up and throw an off-speed pitch, catch him off balance.
And the thing about Bryce Harper with all this talent, he's 20 years old. He came to the big leagues as a teenager. That would hit hard. An RBI single into right. Chris Young comes in to score. The Nationals take a 1-0 lead on Bryce Harper's RBI single, his 14th RBI of the spring.
Yeah, he knew his situation. 2-0 count. Good time to be a hitter. So usually in this situation, you get those hands back a little bit more early and ready. And
that is violent.
Yeah, he put some angst behind that thing. Still has a little bit of teen angst left over. I think he's so young. But yeah, ripped it up the middle.
Harper's continues a very good spring. Castro and Pena talking it over with the starting pitcher Alex White.
20 years old.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine. I mean, you try and imagine yourself at 20 in the big leagues.
Yeah, it's a different. It's a young man in a grown man's game, and
exactly.
He is obviously fit right in. And here is Zimmerman. Ryan Zimmerman lined out. Wallace made a great play on him back in the first inning to get the Astros off the field. That one misses inside.
Really got to credit that clubhouse, too, because it's a situation we talked about how, he was pretty much glorified coming into the big leagues. And being that young, he could have come in with that great big head and, said, this is my clubhouse. But those veterans in the Washington clubhouse kind of helped him, guide him along, do things the right way, and it seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders.
And I've never been a player, but I do know this one hit on the ground. Marwin Gonzalez, nice play, stands up and throws him out. We'll continue that conversation in a moment, but the Nationals get a run on 3 hits. It's 1-0 Washington. Follow the Astros this spring and all season long with MLB.com At Bat for your iPhone, iPad, iTouch, and Android services. At Bat delivers spring training wherever you are with score, stats, searchable video, live audio, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com for details. Yesterday it was announced that Tyler Green would not make this club. They signed Ronnie Cedeno, who had been released earlier in the day by the Cardinals, and this was the start for Ronnie Cedeno. That one got by him.
Welcome to Osceola County Stadium right there.
Hey, but a little carved piece here as he puts this inside the right field line. That would go as a 3-base hit, so mixed bag for Ronnie Cedeno in his first game in the blue and orange for the Astros.
Yeah, his reputation is usually the other way around, where all defense, no hit. But yesterday was so-so defense, but got a big hit for us and scored a run.
Doug Brocail, you back with us?
I am back with us.
All right, let's continue what we were talking about earlier. Something we saw in that last inning. From a pitcher's perspective, and looking at it from a pitching coach, you look at an inning in which you get a good play to start. Ball right up the middle. Cedeno makes a good play. Then you get a pitcher that gets a bleeder right over the top of the bag. An unfortunate single. Is that where it takes the maturity of the guys understanding how to work through things like that, limit the damage, and get your team back off the field?
Absolutely. The thing is when you have a pitcher get on, I hated facing pitching because I think pitchers hit 950 off. Because you throw fastball down the middle, fastball down the middle. I mean, I had 3 starts in the big leagues who were back-to-back-to-back starts. I gave up homers to starting pitchers. They were good starting pitchers, though.
Oh, Doug.
I think one was Portugal, one was Hammonds, and one was I don't even know his name.
You'll
big starter from L.A. Hit a ball about 540 off me.
Yeah, you'll think of it. But the guys, I mean, that's something though that I've talked with Lucas Harrell a lot about that. He seems like he's got a real good grasp of that and knowing when to when to limit the damage and knowing, maybe having to give up a run here to get yourself in a situation where you can manage an inning.
Well, the thing that I talk about is if we get a leadoff double, I want the guy to get three straight out. So if it's deep fly ball, and then we finally get the out and the guy happens to score, it's one run versus building damage. And, we're trying to maintain a close game so that we can get deeper into ball games with our starters. And, that's the thing about starting pitching is I want our guys to win or lose the ball game. I don't want a lot of 5 and dive. I don't want a lot of 6 innings with 76 pitches and find the starter coming out of the ball game. That's how you ruin bullpens. So, it helps. It helps getting through an inning and going deeper into the ball game.
When you look at guys, and obviously the top of this rotation is set with, with Bud and with Lucas and the way Umber is pitched. But that 4th, 5th spot, what are you looking for from that this last week of camp and seeing how open that might be? What are you looking for from these guys?
Well, we still have time, and that's the beauty of it. Is when spring's over, and we're 5-6 days away. We've got Whitey going tonight. We've got Peacock going tomorrow. We've got Gonzo going the next night. So it gives us a better look at everybody. And, we're going to need a long guy. Everybody knows that. Last year, we had a bunch of 1-inning guys in the bullpen, and it really hurt us. So, the theory behind it is I want 2 long guys. I want a 4th and 5th guy that can give us innings and go out and compete on a daily basis. I'm not looking for a 4th and 5th guy to go 5. I'm looking for a 4th and 5th guy to go 7 or 8. So I don't know. It's one of those things that when we make our decision, they'll have it and we'll have it and everybody will know.
What have you liked?
Then, nothing.
What have you liked, real quick? What have you liked seeing from Brad Peacock?
He's a little bulldog. He has a plus fastball at times. Yes.
You may continue.
I love Comedy Hour. I really do.
It's spring training, bro.
I love it. It does.
He's shown a really good heater, and he's aggressive with it. He's not afraid to throw it, but he's got that hammer to back it up, which is nice.
He does, and he changes speed well. When you talk about secondary pitches, you're talking about a secondary pitch that you can throw for strikes. A lot of these guys we're going to see are ambush guys. I've looked at all the scouting reports and gone over I don't know how many hours of video, and you'll see a guy at first at bat of the game go in and take strike 1. That second AB, he's not taking it all. And we just saw that with their big bearded dude, Worth. Here's a guy that very first time he comes up, you sit right down the middle. You can tell him it's coming. He's not going to swing. But he will ambush the second AB. I've seen balls go over his head. I've seen balls bounce, and he's swinging. So.
Hey, Doug Brokaw, we appreciate it. We'll see you back in Houston. Thanks very much for your time.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, Doug. 1-0 Nationals on top as we go to the 4th.
Here's a
top 1-0. The Astros continue to do their work in the community. The Astros Community Leaders Program, which is a 5-year, $18 million investment in city-owned public youth baseball and softball fields for disadvantaged areas of Houston. Opened multiple fields yesterday morning at Dice Park and Sunnyside Park in Houston. All the big names were out. Again, the Astros doing their part in the community, not only just to help out the folks there, but to promote the great game of baseball. Joining us now is Astros General Manager Jeff Luhnow. Appreciate you spending a little time with us, and I know it's been a very busy couple of days. I would say a day for you, but it's been a busy, last 4 or 5 days for you.
Well, we're getting down to the end, so we're almost there. A couple more moves to make. We're going to go to Houston with our 25-man roster, and we're bringing about 16 extra players so we can get through those 2 games. And I think our fans are going to be excited when they see who some of those 16 players are we're bringing.
Your face really lit up as Adam LaRoche will be leading it off here in the 4th. But your face really lit up when you were telling me earlier about the guys that you were able to call into the office. And you know, usually you don't get good news when you get called into the office. This was your chance to really do something that I know you thoroughly enjoyed. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we've been calling people in the office for the past 2 weeks and usually telling them they're not going to make the club. Today we had an opportunity to bring in 9 players, all of whom have never been on an opening day roster before, and we informed them they were going to make the opening day roster, and there were a lot of smiles in that room. It's really one of the fun things that you get to do as a general manager. Now, typically a lot of clubs don't have that many guys, but we do, and I think it was a really neat experience for them, and I really appreciate being involved in it.
Adam LaRoche with a single to lead things off here. So much for the cutoff man. Throw back to first. And that was almost a mistake that turned out for the Astros. It was Maxwell that overthrew the cutoff man. Ball came back in to Wallace. He fielded it through over to Pena, and they just missed it. But he airmailed that one.
Wallace,
beg your pardon. It was Martinez. It was Maxwell that came up throwing.
Wallace playing some heads-up baseball there.
Well, that wasn't a previously set up play on the backfield right there. Trying to catch the runner sleeping a little bit.
I don't think so. I don't think so. LaRoche, he wasn't buying it if that was the case. He's a veteran. You can't pull that on those guys. You're looking at obviously a guy that's on the mound right now. There's a lot of talk. That one is slapped foul. But you're talking about guys like White, like Peacock, like Bedard, top 3 spots set in this rotation. That's one of the big question marks right now. You know, where does it slot as far as those 4 and 5 spots in that starting rotation?
Well, Peacock and White are both battling for that 4th spot. And Bedard's going to be our 5th starter. So really the person who doesn't get that 4th spot is going to be in the bullpen. So they both are on the team. All 3 of those guys are on the team, and they know it. And we're excited to have that caliber of arms and to have a guy, basically a 6th starter, who will be in the bullpen.
Let's face it, there are certain guys that they're mentally can handle pitching out of the bullpen. There's other guys that are just mentally their DNA to be a starter. Is that something you take into consideration?
We do, but the way we're designing this 6th starter or this long man role, they're going to pitch multiple innings. They're going to be used quite a bit. This is not going to be a guy that's going to get 60 innings over the course of the year. We're talking 100 plus, and they're going to be ready to come in the rotation if they're needed. I think that's going to be a good role for both of them.
Ian Desmond was able to hold up. Desmond struck out looking back in the 2nd inning. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Edgar Gonzalez is another guy that I remember when he came up last year. I don't know if we were in Pittsburgh or wherever it was. He got a start. He was just outstanding. And you thought, you know, this is where you can find veterans that can help you out. Especially, you know, you're in a short term, whatever it is you're looking at, and a guy that can help out and do a lot of different things. Desmond, a broken bat single to left. And Nationals with 2 on and nobody out here in the 4th. But he's going to get a chance to throw. He's going to get a chance to start. He can help you out in a lot of different ways, too. Not only as a long guy, but a guy that can take a start and really eat up some innings.
Yeah, you know, our staff didn't really know Edgar. Obviously, Doug knew him, but Bo didn't know him. And I think the more he goes out there, the more they like him because he works quickly. He's got all the pitches. He's able to come in, you know, pitch 2 innings, 3 innings, start if you need him to, pitch on consecutive days. He's a really valuable guy to have in the organization. And he's a veteran. He pitches winter ball every year. Usually pitches either AAA or in the big leagues during the year. And he's definitely a guy that we're going to need to plug in on various occasions this year for sure.
You know, Eduardo Perez was on with us yesterday. He immediately got a 2-run home run. Now, you come on with us, and we got nobody out and 2 runners on. So, you know, you might want. We may never get you back on.
Setting it up for a double play right here.
There you go. Got it right where you want. Triple play in order. when this is.
Now, are you guys planning on having 2 long guys in the bullpen?
That's something we've discussed. I think that's something that, given the youth of our starting rotation and the lineups that we're going to be facing day in and day out, it's something that I think Bo feels very comfortable with. So we still have that final bullpen spot or 2 to really sort out, but I do think we want to make sure we have protection and have some guys that can go multiple innings in the bullpen.
Yeah, and being in the American League now, rosters are usually set up a little bit differently. Could you tell us, I mean, I know it's a little more pitching heavy as opposed to position player heavy just because there's no double switching and things like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Normally, the 4th, 5th outfielders, depending upon how you rotate them in, they may not get as many at-bats or a time in the field because you're not making those substitutions in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning anymore. And so it allows you to carry maybe one less position player, another pitcher. You still want to have a dangerous right-handed hitter and a left-handed hitter in the bench that you can use late in the game. But it definitely changes the way you think about it. And our division in particular changes how we think about things because those lineups we're going to be going up against are pretty powerful.
Yep. Here's 1-1 to Danny Espinosa in the dirt. 2-1. Guys, you talk about versatility. And the guy that I was so good to talk to him yesterday was Brandon Barnes because he's just a guy that I just love the fact that you got a guy that's been in the organization for 9 years. And you talk about earning your spot, and those are the guys you really feel good about. I know he came to the big leagues last year, but it's going to have to be obviously very special for a guy like that. And he can help you in a lot of different ways. He's a great example of that.
No question about it. And it's a great story for someone who was basically a lifelong Astros farmhand to get his opportunity last year, go from AA to AAA in the big leagues, and then to have a chance to be an opening day starter this year.
It's a tough play for Wally, but he makes it. And there's one away.
The nice thing about having a guy like Barnes on the roster, he is a very good defensive player. He can play all 3 outfield positions. If we have a lead late in the game, I think we're going to see a lot of him in the outfield on the days he doesn't start because he's going to give you a good right-handed at bat. And he's going to be able to catch the ball, and I think that's going to be a big part of what we're going to want from him.
And you talked about that earlier. Just take a look at the offense of Brandon Barnes, but defensively, he's a very good player. And I know you've been very happy, not just with Brandon Barnes, but this club, the way they've been able to catch the baseball this year, because let's face it, in the American League, it's tough enough pitching in the American League, especially the West, without giving up outs. And you can't do that. You got to be happy with the way your team has played defensively.
I am happy about that. A lot of people compare Brandon Barnes to Michael Bourne defensively as he was coming through the system, and that's obviously a big testament to his capabilities out there. We have a ground ball staff, and so we're going to need guys that catch the ball, and I think having Ronnie Cedeno there, Matt Dominguez, Altuve, Pena, Wallace, those are guys that are pretty reliable, and I think that's going to help our staff quite a bit. The last thing you want to do is give them an extra out here and there.
Here's the 0-1. That's outside.
And I've been impressed with what Brett Wallace has done over there. I mean, you wouldn't think losing 30 pounds would change anybody, but he's a new man. He's making jumping plays, running back on balls. Like, that's not an easy play he just made down the left field line on that pop-up.
And stabbing line drives like we saw back in the first.
I agree with you. I think Brett Wallace, his ability to play third, and he's demonstrated that here this spring, is going to help him get more at-bats because there's going to be days when we can rest Dominguez. We can have 2 lefties at the corners. That's going to help.
That's not right down the line as Wilson Ramos with an RBI single. They're wearing out that chalk on the right field line. 2-0 Washington.
And for me, being an ex-ball player, that can be deceptive. I mean, he's making good pitches, and there's not a player on the planet that says, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to try and hit a rocket the other way down the right field line. He basically got beat on a tough pitch right there and just stuck the bat out there and got a knock out of it. So you can't really knock Alex White for giving up that run right there.
That's what I guess you have to look at. You got to be in the building to understand those.
Yeah, and that's why the decision we're going to make is based off of a lot of looks at these guys, and it's not just going to come down to he pitches tonight, Peacock tomorrow, but really we know what these guys are all about. We really can't make a bad decision here. Whoever gets it is going to start off the year in that number 4 spot, but I think both of these pitchers are going to have an opportunity to contribute this year.
I thought somebody asked you an interesting question earlier. They said, what do you think is going to surprise people around baseball about this club
more than anything else? And your answer was?
Well, our pitching staff. I think our starting pitcher, when you start with guys like Norris and Harold top of the rotation, you have an experienced guy like Bedard at the bottom of the rotation, and some young arms in the middle. I think you've got a chance to have a good rotation, and the nice thing is that we've not only got a 6-starter on the big league staff, but we've got so many starters in AAA that we're going to start this year with a tandem system where we've got the 8 starters, sharing spots there. So we've got a lot of depth, and if we have somebody falter or somebody get injured, we're going to be able to pick up and bring someone up that's ready to go.
Young once again will try to lay down the sacrifice bunt. Good bunt by Young. Throw him out. And there's 2 away. So here's a look at what the rotation could look like when the season starts on Sunday. Norris, Harrell, and Umber, we know that much for sure in those first 3 games. And then whether or not it'll be Alex White, Brad Peacock, Eric Bedard. As Jeff Luhnow said, the left-hander will lock down that number 5 spot in the rotation. And where things fall in the rotation, people have to understand, too. These guys do exhaustive research as to who might fit in and slot who against who as to whether or not a guy might be the 4th starter or the 5th starter. So that's fair to say as well, right?
I think it is, and we're looking at all the matchups early in the season and trying to line it up, but you throw all that away after a few days or weeks because it changes very quickly. But obviously having Texas come into town for that first series is going to be real important to us.
And the first 18 games against the West, so you got to don't want to say getting off to a great start is a must, because if you don't, then what do you say? But I mean, seriously, you're in a situation where it could take so much pressure off of a lot of young players if you could come out of the gates and play well early.
I agree. I mean, we've got Texas and then Oakland, then we go on the road, 3 West Coast cities, and I think that those first 5 series are going to really set the tone for the early part of the season. And I've said this before, I think this team's going to come out competing. I think Bo's going to keep them focused, and they're hungry.
No, I agree. I think you've done a great job of getting the young talent in here. And Bo's really adapted himself to working with those young guys. But you did a good job of getting those characters in the clubhouse, too, because for these guys to go out and compete at their age in the division they're going to be at, these guys have to be a cohesive unit. And it seems, I mean, just watching the games, granted I've been here for a couple games, watched a couple games on TV, these guys are playing well as a unit. I mean, they're putting up numbers, they're slapping high five, and I saw before the game even, somebody was down there leading a little chant, a little rah-rah going on, and that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing for these guys to see that they're coming together as a unit to get each other's back, because they're going to be fighting right from the get-go.
They are. And, last year we ended the season on a high note. We won 15 of our last 30 games, and a lot of it was due to some of the guys that are here right now.
Pena makes a nice backhanded play, beats Denard Span to the bag. Well, good luck, and we will see you back in Houston. I appreciate you coming on with us.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Always good talking to Jeff Luhnow, general manager of the Houston Astros. Nationals score another run in the 4th. They lead it 2-0. Out of sun setting over Central Florida here in Kissimmee. Nationals on top of the Astros by a score of 2-0. Wednesday, it's Houston Rockets basketball. Rockets trying to continue that playoff push when they take on the Indiana Pacers. Rockets and Pacers Wednesday night at 7 o'clock here on Comcast Sportsnet. With Jeff Blum, Kevin Eschenfelder back with you. Boy, you spent many a spring training here in Kissimmee, Florida, didn't you?
Good old Kissimmee. Yes, I did, yeah. Talking some of those hops out there at third base.
You know, you and Adam Everett talked about the same thing. This could be a field that this time, once it's had this much baseball played on it, it can get a little rough on those guys in the infield.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I mean, no offense to Rick Rash, who's out there doing a great job on the grounds crew, but when you got limited resources like this, and it takes a beating like it does on a daily basis, it creates some awkward situations.
Chris Young has pitched well, and that's exactly what he wanted. The Astros limited to just one hit. Beg your pardon, 2 hits so far in this game. I got the scoreboard wrong right now. I guess they gave... Nope, the scoreboard's wrong. Got 2 hits.
I got 1 hit.
You got 1 hit.
A walk and a hit by pitch.
Oh, that too.
And that guy.
That's good. We'll figure it out afterwards. Carlos Pena leads it off.
We've had a lot of distractions, Doug.
Yeah, you know, we got people coming in and talking. Brocail, goodness knows what's going on with him.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on. Roster changes, some interesting stuff.
Pena walked back in the first inning. You know, Doug Brocail is always interesting because the thing about Doug is you don't want to ask him a question that you don't want the answer to, because he'll answer it.
He will answer it. He is brutally honest in every sense of the word.
Well, Pena, the veteran, guy that they talked about would bring presence, and that veteran presence, a little moxie to that clubhouse. That one fouled straight back and into the parking lot.
Carlos Pena playing first base tonight. Usually slots into that DH position, but get a chance to look at some of these sabermetric splits that these guys are talking about. And Jeff Luna was talking about matchups early in the season. And a lot of the time, the starting pitcher is going to dictate who's going to be out there. And Brett Wallace has done his fair share against left-handed pitching.
That one popped up on the infield. Zimmerman comes over and makes the play. It'll always be interesting in spring training on those high pop-ups on the infield. Yesterday, especially a 35-mile-an-hour wind. Today, not necessarily as much, but it can always get interesting. And Zimmerman made it look easy. And here's Chris Carter.
Yeah, these spring training stadiums, they're not typically very large, so it allows the elements to get in there and come into play a lot, whereas opposed to retractable roofs or larger stadiums can cut down on that wind out on the field. Wasn't a big fan of pop-ups.
I bet. Yesterday I was talking about one was sent way up in the air. At the time I told Adam I can think of about 1,000 places I'd rather be than underneath that pop fly right now.
Adam and I, when we played third base and shortstop, it was rock, scissors, paper to see who was going to try and make a play on the pop-ups on the left side of the field.
And Chris Carter swings through that one. And again, Young really cruising right now. No runs, 1 hit for the Astros, 2 runs on 7 hits for the Washington Nationals. That one hit and hit well, but right at the left fielder, Bryce Drew, as he makes the play.
Well, that's the second AB in a row that Chris Carter hasn't been able to square it up. He's taking good passes at it, but the ball just isn't there, and he gets it off the end of the bat.
And right in Bryce Harper's tracks, too. Watch this.
You see, he's just a hair quick. He had the right idea. Might have been a little outside, too, try to get around it, but it's a good swing. I know the outcome and the feel off the bat isn't what he wants, but still, at the same time, got a good pitch to put a good swing on it.
Yeah, that's one where you look right at the fielder just to give you an idea. And I thought the way Harper had originally reacted was as if to say that ball might be way out of here because it looked like that good of a swing.
It did. And
instead, it was right at him,
too. The trajectory was right.
Well, Fernando Martinez hit a ball really hard yesterday and hit a double into the gap in left center field. Astros in a rain-shortened game knocked off the Miami Marlins. Astros now 12-4-2 in the spring. Washington Nationals 12-14-2 as well. Both teams with identical records coming into this game.
Yeah, Fernando's worked himself into a unique situation, being one of those outfielders that could mix in pretty well. But I mean, you see some pretty extreme splits from left-handed pitching to right-handed pitching.
0.77 against left-handers for left-handed hitting. Fernando Martinez.
We can go ahead and erase him from that situation.
And Justin Maxwell hitting 208 against righties. Obviously a righty and Justin Maxwell. Fernando Martinez, a left-handed hitter. That went off the fist, and that is a painful, but yet the hand's not buzzing quite as bad right now as he gets a knockout of it. The ball just sawed him off.
That was a jam sandwich until it got out the outfield, and all of a sudden the pain went away in his hands. Tried to come in and get in his kitchen, and he did. Unless it may have looked like he got a little quick on it, got off the end of the bat.
It did. He cued it is basically what he did.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is Chris Young at 6'10" or whatever he is, it looks like he should be pumping it in there about 95.
Oh, a 2-out single for Fernando Martinez brings up Justin Maxwell, who was hit by a pitch back in the second inning.
Glad to see we got your second hit on the board there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know where I got messed up was the fielder's choice back on Castro back in that was
that's right, that one that dropped in.
And we had a guest on. It was Brocail this time. So I was so concentrated on what Doug Brocail was saying because he's deep.
That's why you're good at what you do. You focus.
You got to follow. Though if I was focused, I wouldn't have called it a hit. People at home are trying to figure out what the heck either one of us is talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
Maxwell.
Some time.
Well, Maxwell, a guy with, I'm talking big-time power, led the club. He tied with Jed Lowry for the homer lead a year ago with 18, but when he hit him, man, he hit him.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I was actually at lunch today watching various sports games and golf, but Baseball Channel MLB Network had the biggest blast of 2012, and I want to say he was in the top 5.
Absolutely.
When he hit at Colorado,
the one he hit at Colorado was way back. Remember, they have all the food sales things up there, up above the seats on the concourse. It was way up there. That one hit. And Bryce Harper drops it.
Keep going, Fernando.
And Fernando will come around to score. Went right off of Harper's glove.
How about that?
And Martinez, the benefit of having 2 outs, was running with the play, and he scores.
Man, tough play behind the shortstop. Long way for Bryce Harper to come running in, and you can see the wind's blowing from left to right, so it was pushing it away from him. But a long way to run. Oh, it's just too bad. You get the glove on it, you figure you should make the play.
Yeah, you think he just clanked it right off the heel of the glove, and it goes as an error.
But you look at Fernando, head down the whole way. Probably a little shocked when he saw
yeah, exactly.
when he saw Tremblay give him the go-ahead sign, but good thing he was where he was at and took advantage of it. That's that good aggressive baseball that the Astros are going to have to play.
So a 2-base error by Bryce Harper puts the Astros on the board 2-1. And Jason Castro. Castro hit one that landed right between Zimmerman and Desmond. I mean, it was a high pop fly. Both guys ended up last second pulling away from it, looking at each other. But Zimmerman was able to pick it up and throw the runner out at second base. So it went as a fielder's choice, what could have very easily been a pop fly single.
Yeah, that's a tough read for the guy at first base, especially when you got Gold Glover and Zimmerman.
Well, yeah, you made the read. You made the right read. I mean, you don't expect that ball to fall between two guys.
Unfortunate, yeah. Because if he's even if he's halfway off and Zimmerman makes that play, he's out of first base.
So 2-0 to Jason Castro. Hitting .382. And he pops this one up. This time, Span will make the play. So it took a while for the Astros to get that first run. In fact, it had to be all the way from first base by Fernando Martinez, with the Astros on the board. 2-1, Washington. run in that fourth inning. We go to the fifth. Alex White goes back out to the mound for his fifth inning of work, keeping his team in the game. It's not been pretty, but he's been able to work through it here on a gorgeous night for baseball in Kissimmee at Osceola County Stadium. Ground crew making their way off the field after patching things up here going to the fifth. 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. The 1 error costing mightily. That was one that went off of Bryce Harper, the heel of his glove on a windy night tonight. Not terrible, but it's always windy here, seems like, at this ballpark. And I think you made a great point. These stadiums aren't nearly as high as major league stadiums. This is much more like what you would see at a college stadium, minor league type ballpark, and not nearly as high. So elements certainly can play a lot more of a factor when it comes to the wind. Jason Worth will lead it off here in the fifth. Worth, a career .267 hitter, 1 for 2 tonight. Singled back in the third inning, hit into a double play in the first. This is for ball 1. But what you have seen so far from Alex White is not exactly been an economy of pitches, but that said, he's had to make some pitches, and he's been able to make pitches when he needed them, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, the trouble he's gotten into, he's been able to limit a lot of the damage and hasn't really, shown any signs of panic. He kept his poise on the mound, made pitches when he had to. But, obviously we'd all like to be a lot more efficient when we're going through the course of a game, but as he falls behind 3-0. But these are adjustments. He's a young kid. He's got the stuff to get guys out. It's just a matter of harnessing it sometimes. You're not going to have your greatest stuff every night. So, I mean, it's a learning process for him right now, which is good to see that he's not out there freaking out about it.
3-0 pitch, misses outside, and leadoff walk to Jason Worth. Nationals got a run back in the third. After 1 out, Chris Young hit a ball right over the top of the bag for a single. Then Jason Worth with a 2-out single, and Bryce Harper followed that with a 2-out single. So back-to-back singles at that point scored Young. Nationals took a 1-0 lead. There you see the pinch runner here. Jason Worth will leave the game. That is a beard right there. Nationals got another run in the fourth. LaRoche led off with the single, and a couple more hits later, he was able to come in to score on Wilson Ramos's RBI single.
Doug Roquel was talking. Holy cow.
My goodness. That ball.
I didn't realize Laz was that athletic.
He didn't either.
Good grief.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Man, you ain't lying. That ball was scalded.
Oh, man.
And he's got to make the call.
That's when guys in the bullpen are getting out of the way of it.
Laz is a good dude, too. He's probably over there. Yeah, he's chuckling about it. Somebody's giving him a hard time.
That one misses.
Getting back to what Doug was talking about earlier about economizing and, getting late into these games. In order for these guys to get into the 6th and 7th innings, they've got to cut down on their pitch counts. Right now we're in the 5th inning, nobody out. We've got 75, 76 pitches been thrown already. And that's one of the concerns that's going to, creep into Doug's thinking about what he does in the bullpen and things like that.
I was having a hard time getting a number on that. It's Micah Owens who has come in to pinch run for Worth, and he'll go first to third on the single by Bryce Harper.
That was one of those spring training base hits. Hit it off that hard infield, let it bounce through.
So Harper leaves for the pinch runner. Roger Bernardina comes in to pinch run. So first and third with nobody out here in the 5th.
Still nobody up in the Astros bullpen.
I think they have
close to 80 pitches.
Yeah, it's basically a set as what they want him to do tonight. And now they're starting to stir around a little bit in that bullpen. Well, Alex White got to wiggle through this one. 2-8-1, 1-2-0 for the Astros. Back to A walk and a single to start this inning, and now we've got first and third. That was misses for a ball. Ball one.
Didn't look like a bad pitch there, but close enough.
It's been a. Would you agree that it's been a tight strike zone? Yeah.
Good grief.
That's hey, this is relief pitchers. I'm not exactly sure who that was.
There's so many routines.
Surprised he's not left-handed. Throw back to first base, and Bernardina gets back in. Castro trying to throw behind Roger Bernardina, not having anything to do with it.
Yeah, it was a good job. I don't know if it was preset or not, but a good idea. It made it a close play. Yeah,
absolutely. Henry Rodriguez will be the new pitcher for the Washington Nationals. Throw over. Well, Micah Owings at third. He pinch ran for Jason Worth. This bit of a trip for the Washington Nationals, and they brought their A-team with Span and Worth and Harper, Zimmerman, LaRoche, Ian Desmond, and Danny Espinosa. Ramos in there as well. But you get
that time of year.
7 everyday players in the big leagues in this lineup that you're facing tonight, including this guy at the plate that keeps an eye on Roger Bernardina at first base. Alex White trying to get through this 5th inning. Mike Owings trying to make the club as a position player. You know Story spent a lot of time as a pitcher. That one swung on Zimmerman. This could be 2. Wallace to Marwin, and they turn the double play. So the run scores, but you'll trade that for 2 outs any day. Well, Micah Owings makes it 3-1 Washington.
Yeah, you hate to give up that run, but if you're going to do it, this is what you're trying to limit that damage. If he can get out of this inning only giving up 1 run after having first and third and the 3, 4, 5 guys coming up to the plate, that'd be a great thing.
Well, Adam LaRoche will be the batter. Good turn by Marwin as well.
Yeah, Brett Wallace, making that play, giving a good feed to the second baseman on that backside of second base, keeping him safe and allowing him to make that play.
At first and third and nobody out, you're going to give up 1 run. You'll take that more times than not. LaRoche, that misses up high.
For sure, yeah. With this 3, 4, 5 punch the Nationals are going to throw out there, it's a pretty good thing to get out there with only giving up 1 run.
Josh Fields warming up for the Astros right now. So Adam LaRoche with a 2-0 count. Cleans up the inning, cleans up the bases, and now a chance to just go to work on the man at the plate. That one swung on, hit high in the air. That one hit deep and gone. My goodness, that ball looked like it was hit so high it wouldn't have a chance of getting out of here.
Yeah, if you would have noticed, Adam, as soon as he hit the ball, put his head down almost in disgust that he missed that pitch, but got it up in the right part of the ballpark with the wind blowing out the right, and it gets out.
And I was watching Fernando Martinez because so often the case you can get a telltale sign by the way a guy chases after the baseball. I was expecting him to put his hand up, or put his glove up. Instead, he just keeps looking and looking and looking, and then all of a sudden starts looking up.
Yeah, and you watch Adam.
Gone.
He's looking like he just missed it.
He just missed it.
Doggone it.
Look at his head. You see what kind of turns his head in disgust.
It's like an afternoon at Wrigley out here.
That thing is got up there, and Wallace with a nice play. Gets his man. He throws out Ian Desmond, but not before a couple of runs come in to score for the Washington Nationals. 2 runs on 2 hits, nobody left. After 4.5, it's 4-1. The Astros trying to get up and get in it. On here in Kissimmee. Full moon tonight. You'll be the judge. 4-9-1 for the Washington Nationals. 1-2-0 for the Astros. MLB's opening night comes to Minute Maid Park Sunday, March 31st. The Astros take on the Texas Rangers at 7:05. Come out early for Street Fest presented by Champion Energy with a special thanks to Budweiser. Stay after the game for a spectacular fireworks show presented by Marathon Oil. Visit Astros.com or call 713-87. Make it 877. 9 Astros. Old habits die hard. To get your tickets now. Time now for our call to the bullpen presented by Gulfgate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. And it is hard throwing Henry Rodriguez. I've told the rubber now for the Washington Nationals. This guy can throw a little smoke.
Yeah, this guy's another reason I thought about retiring again. Did not enjoy facing these guys, man.
A solid outing for Chris Young. He had 1 run on 2 hits, an unearned run on 2 hits.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week for him, trying to figure out where he's going to try and mix in.
And remember, this is a Astros lineup that has been very, very good this spring. So Rick Ankiel steps in, but I mean, this is an Astros lineup talking about at the top of just about every category in the power department. He was able to really quiet them so far in this ball game tonight, or in his work in this ball game tonight.
Yeah, I was looking at that today. I mean, Astros tops in slugging percentage, second in home runs, doubles,
Atlanta, yeah.
Third in on-base percentage. Those are great things for an offense to go into a season. But what Chris Young did today, hopefully nobody took any notes.
Ooh. One thing to throw in 101, there's another thing to doing it under your chin, and that'll get the attention real quick.
It'll stir up parts of your body you really don't want alive right now.
Well, as a club, the Astros lead the Grapefruit League in slugging percentage. That's .480.
Not good.
This will get you off the plate in a hurry. .480 slugging percentage. Second in homers with 41. They're second in doubles as well with 59. And third in on-base percentage. And that's going to help the on-base percentage as Rick Ankiel exhales and takes his base.
Yeah, graciously. You see him on that last pitch kind of stepping back a little bit. You know he's talking about it too right now with Tyler Moore first base. He's like, dude, yeah, I guarantee you he probably felt the breeze of this thing before he actually saw it. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie Cedeno, the number 9 hitter in the lineup for the Astros. And he is, for one thing, he's not right now is comfortable.
No.
And
can't blame him. Guy throwing 100, throwing 5 balls in a row.
Yeah, that's
discomforting, to say the least. Hey.
I'm going to talk it out here. I don't know what Ramos is going to tell him. Yeah. Don't throw it high and inside.
Keep it away from other human beings.
Yes, again.
Yeah, this one's tailing up and into the right-hander. We just had a lefty almost get one. Oh, boy. Joys of being a big league ball player.
Well, the Astros got a run back in the 4th inning, an unearned run on an E7 as Bryce Harper had one clank off of his glove. But that has been it. One unearned run in this game. An outstanding effort by Chris Young. 4 innings, gave up 1 run on 2 hits for the Washington Nationals. Now it's 3-0 to Cedeno. With Ankiel leading away from first base. He has already drawn a walk. That's in there for a strike. Hey, and a little sarcasm, a little syrup on that cheer.
It's good to see the fans are still watching. Always enjoyed it when they did things like that. Another reason I didn't want to be a pitcher.
There's the 3-1. 3-2.
Now what? He's throwing 6, 7 balls all over the place and then pump 2 strikes in there?
Go right back to it. I don't think.
Guess right, Ronnie. Get a hold of it.
That's a pretty good guess right there.
He's trying to go for that triple again down the right field
exactly.
line.
And that was very much like the one he had yesterday. It was a mixed bag for him yesterday, that's for sure. Had the first ball hit to him, kind of a skipping hop, and went right by him as at shortstop, and then came up later in the game and hit a 3-base hit right into the right field corner. Ronnie Cedeno, released yesterday by the Cardinals, immediately signed by the Astros when it was determined that Tyler Green would not make this club. And here he is, and that is strike 3. A call third strike as Rodriguez gets his man. And Marwin Gonzalez be the batter.
Just bringing the heat right at him. Obviously, Rodriguez's best pitch is his fastball. Getting that 3-2 count, and I'm throwing 100 miles an hour. I know what I'm going to go to. And he did. Pumped it right down the inside corner right there.
Marwin in the leadoff spot, singled on a bunt, very nicely placed back in the first inning. Grounded out, 1-3 put out in the third. We're in the fifth. We're more than halfway through this one here in Kissimmee. Astros not a lot left here in Kissimmee. In fact, just one game left at Osceola County Stadium. That's against Detroit on Thursday. Went in there for a strike. Astros making some roster moves. For the most part, this is what they were able to do today. Sent to the minor leagues, Brandon Laird, who had an outstanding spring. He was really good. This is just, every once in a while, the numbers just don't fall in your favor. Trevor Crow, a guy that came in and made some impressions. He will be going down as well. Brandon Barnes, Brad Peacock, both of those guys announced that they will remain with the club. 9 guys told today that they will be on a major league roster this opening day for the first time earlier today by Jeff Luno. And the thing, too, you've seen it from both sides, too. If you were in a situation where you thought, I got a chance, and you were going to start the season in the minor leagues. And those are the guys that have to understand, you're going to go down there, get your work done, and just wait for the phone to ring, right?
Yeah, that's the hardest part, is realizing that you did come into spring and you did everything they asked, and then you added on top of it like Brandon Laird did. I'm not too sure they expected to have the production out of him in spring that they got from him. But that's a tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, it's the nature of the business, and he knew what he was getting himself into. But he's got to go down there and continue to do what he did here to get called back up.
And you saw those names, first-time guys that'll be here. That one swung on and hit foul. Zimmerman has no idea. Finally, Desmond came over and made the play. And it's Chad Tracy who's come into play at third base. I said Zimmerman, and Tracy has come into play. And he put both his palms skyward as if to say, I have no clue where this baseball is. Look at this.
Yeah, these twilight
I got no idea. But good thing Ian Desmond did.
Yeah, the lights here haven't taken full effect. And when I use that term loosely here with these lights at some of these spring training fields, because they're a little bit lower, like we said. The stadiums aren't as big. With the Major League Stadium, the lights are going to be a lot higher, so you can see the ball a little bit longer. Once that ball gets above the lights and gets into that dusky looking sky that you're looking at right now, it pretty much disappears. With the way the balls are rubbed up these days, they blend right in.
The Astros, Dynamos, Rockets, and more. We have all your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central 7 days a week, 6, 10, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet. Your home for your home teams. Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, going out and visiting with Henry Rodriguez. Is that something you see specifically? But it's not a matter of really being in any trouble. He had a leadoff walk here, but gets a couple of guys, and now McCaddy goes out, visits with his pitcher. Is this a teaching situation while you're on the fly, knowing you can do this in spring training?
It could be. I don't know if he's trying to get the guy in the bullpen ready and loose, give him more time to throw some more pitches, but it seemed a rather odd time. I mean, he got to 2 outs. We came back after walking the first hitter of the inning and came back and got a, fly out, punch out. So you think he'd be in good shape, but he came out there and had some words of wisdom for him.
Craig Stammen would be warming up right now in the bullpen for the Washington Nationals. That swung on and missed.
Yeah, I don't know what pitch that was, but
it was
tailing away. Funky speed.
It was not his typical fastball. Is Stammen warming up?
I don't know. I don't think with the pitching coach coming out there, I don't think he's on a 14 pitch count. Be kind of odd.
Here's the 0-2. 2 outs. Rick Ankiel's at first base after a leadoff walk. He hasn't moved an inch since. That one in the dirt. 1-2.
I'm often curious with some of these guys that throw as hard as Henry Rodriguez does. Sometimes when they do hold a different pitch or they call for a slider, they can even over grip the slider and try and throw that equally as hard as their fastball, and it kind of sputters out of there in a weird rotation. Might have been one of those situations.
In there for a strike, a breaking ball, and a nasty one against Brett Wallace. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap, and that was one of those pitches. We are through 5. This is filthy. 4-1 Washington. In Kissimmee, 4-1. Nationals leading the Astros 4-9-1 for Washington. The Astros 1-2-0, and we've got a new pitcher in Josh Fields. In fact, we got to do just about everything. Marwin Gonzalez moves from second base to short, but there's a lot of things going on right now as Jose Martinez is into play. He's a non-roster minor leaguer that's into play at second base. He's a guy that you don't find many guys that look like Jose Altuve, but he looks like Jose Altuve.
Not a bad mold.
Josh Fields. So that was the guy laying down in the bullpen just a minute ago. And Field comes in 8 2/3 innings. He's given up 7 hits, walked 5, struck out 5. And that would in the dirt, ball 1. So a mixed bag as far as Alex White is concerned. 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, all earned, 9 hits. So not the kind of night he was looking for tonight as Danny Espinosa leads it off here for the Washington Nationals in the 6th.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything really to, hurt his chances too much, but he definitely didn't do anything to really, make their mind up either way.
That bat just became firewood. Boy, that thing got sawed off in a big way. There's Orbit.
Yeah, Josh has got a pretty lively arm and isn't afraid to get inside that kitchen right there.
As far as Fields is concerned, this is his 10th appearance this spring. 0-1 with a 3.12 ERA for Josh Fields. Native of Athens, Georgia. Played at the University of Georgia. Where's Adam Everett when we need him?
I know.
He was South Carolina.
Serious, in-depth.
He's from Atlanta.
Athens, Georgia information.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, he opted out and got out of the state and went to South Carolina.
That's a good pitch right there. Espinosa really yanked that pitch right before that, and then he pulls the string a little bit. Breaking ball in there for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Set him up with that good heater, blew him up and broke that bat. Espinosa didn't want to get jammed again and maybe leaked out a little bit early. Josh made a good pitch, pulling the string right there.
Josh Fields was with the Mariners back in 2010. This is his second big league camp. That one hit right back through the middle. My goodness. That ball was smoked, and that was right back at his head. Fields fortunate to get out of the way of that one.
Very.
Man, that is...
It happens too fast. This game, that's one thing you can't translate from TV to people at home is how fast this game is, and this is a pretty good example of it.
Man, that was scary. Right off the top of his glove, but right by his left ear. The leadoff single by Danny Espinosa brings up Wilson Ramos, who hits that one high in the air. This hit at Maxwell. I'm not sure if he finds it. Now he does. We see a lot of late reactions on a night like tonight because Maxwell looking up and not exactly, don't think he was exactly sure where that ball was and able to make the last minute move to get to it.
Yeah, that's a tough play. Fortunate enough to stay with it and make the play.
Jose Martinez says, man, we had it this one all the way. And here's Steve Lombardozzi. A little pinch hit for the pitcher's spot. Henry Rodriguez. The breaking ball in there. Lombardozzi, whose father, Steve Lombardozzi, ended his career in an Astros uniform in 1990. Solid infielder. Numbers not good in those 24 spring training games this season.
Yeah, but I think he proved his worth in during the regular season last year, filling some holes when they desperately needed it.
First full season in the big leagues, and he hit very respectable 273 a year ago.
Coming off the bench, getting some big knocks late in games for these guys.
Josh Fields, second pitcher of the night, and there's Steve Lombardozzi, the pinch hitter. 0-2. That's in there for a strike 3 call.
That's a tough AB right there.
You got that right.
Thanks for coming.
And have a seat. Lombardozzi goes down looking. Denard Span, the next batter, but first, our steal pitch by pitch. This did not take long. What you call getting carved up.
Yeah. Good morning. Good afternoon. And good night.
It just frozen. I mean, that's all. That's a location pitch, but it looked like whether Lombardozzi was looking for something else. That ball thrown in under his hands like that, and that was just a dart to the inside corner.
That was pretty spectacular right there.
That's ball one. Denard Span, the former Minnesota Twin. Span is fourth at bat. He's 0 for 2. Walked back in the first, flew out to right in the third, grounded out to the first baseman in the fourth.
I wonder if Davey's going to make old 91 play the whole game.
It might be. It might be his penance for forgetting his jersey.
Yeah, he'll bring your jersey next time, won't you, kid? Poor Lombardozzi. I mean, that's the downside of being a pinch hitter right there is you could show up to a big league ball game, see 3 pitches, and go home.
That's a long drive for that.
You're going to be dwelling on that one until tomorrow, but you got to have a short-term memory in this game.
It's in there for a strike.
He's got an electric fastball.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Josh Fields, young man, like I said, he hadn't been to the really been to the big leagues, but 2009 pitched in the Southern League in 2009, 2010 at the AA level.
Good changeup. Yeah, he's not overwhelming in stature, but the guy can bring it. Showing 3 good pitches too. He's got the fastball, just threw the changeup right there, and we saw him start Lombardozzi off with a breaking ball. So coming out of the bullpen, throwing 3 strong pitches in the strike zone. That's a good thing for us.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. 2 away here in the top of the 6th inning. Washington Nationals leading it 4-1, and a time is called.
He held for an extremely long time right there. I'm surprised Denard Span didn't step out quicker. Usually as a hitter, you have that 3 count in your head. You know, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, and as soon as you get to that 3, you put your hand up and call timeout.
There's a couple of Josh Fields. You had the one that was the infielder. Washington, White Sox. I beg your pardon, White Sox. I said Washington. White Sox and Kansas City Royals last year. The other Josh Fields. I guess it depends on how you're looking at it. Hey, don't miss your chance to purchase 2013 Astros regular season tickets. Tickets for individual games, including opening night, are on sale now. For information on all the biggest games or get your tickets, call 877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com. Josh Fields working here in the 6th. A 2-2 pitch with 2 outs and a 4-1 lead for Washington. That's inside. That was very similar to the pitch he threw Lombardozzi.
Yeah, you want to get that call right there. 2-2, have a chance to end the inning right there.
Move, Marwin. I can't see.
Yeah, it might have been too good of a pitch, and Gibby, little Greg Gibson back there, a little 2 for flinching, right? Surprised everyone on that one. And that does happen, by the way. The umpire will admit to it, and if he's a good enough guy, he will say, "Yep, you got me on that one." He goes, "I just didn't pull the trigger." But, you know, it's tough to see an umpire give number 91 the benefit of the doubt with the call right there. I mean, come on. You think he punch out the kid, teach him a lesson.
He must have introduced himself when he walked up. Denard Span, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Denard came over to Washington from Minnesota, November 29th, trade. Would be a big part of that lineup. He could score a lot of runs with those guys hitting behind him.
I agree.
Yeah, the 3-2, and he walked it. So Micah Owings would be the batter with 2 men aboard. Well, Fields has been really good when he's been really good, but he's wobbled a little with the control. Espinosa hit that bullet back through the middle, and Denard Span draws the walk here. 2 runners on here in the 6th.
Yeah, Micah Owings in 2011 with the Diamondbacks, when we played together, we won the Western Division title. He was a huge part of it. He was one of those guys that pitched in the same spot that Edgar Gonzalez is going for, you know, that long relief or spot start, and he did a phenomenal job. I think he picked up about 6 or 7 wins in the second half of the season for us.
Yeah, Micah Owings, what we're talking about, if you don't know this, Micah Owings is one of these guys that, well, in a certain sense, like Ankiel, who not just started, but he was a good pitcher. And guy that turned around, and now he's trying to make it. He was always a good hitter as a pitcher, but now realizing that, you know, wasn't going to make it as a pitcher or continue on. I mean, this guy's got 68 career starts and 138 career appearances. I'm not talking about a guy that just, you know, had a cup of coffee in the big leagues. He had 6 appearances just last season with San Diego.
Yeah, it wasn't like he wasn't cutting it in the minor leagues and had to make the adjustment. This guy's got big league numbers. And it's also a credit. Somebody obviously thinks enough of him as an athlete to think about throwing him out there in the outfield and letting him go hit.
He's also a 283 career hitter. So now sometimes I would imagine.
And he's got to have at least 6 or 7 home runs. I know that my second turnaround with the Astros, we went into Cincinnati and they threw him up there in a pinch hit situation.
Yeah.
And proceeded to hit an opposite field home run against us to tie a game up.
That breaking ball, well, Mike Owings, you start fixing your gloves there and just say, keep your head down and hopefully
play it off.
You'll be all right. Because he did not look good here. That is opening up. That breaking ball fooled him in a big way.
That's why I'm not an umpire either. Good grief. Yeah, that's a better eye. I thought for sure he went on that one. But it's tough, too. I mean, the transition when you're being a pitcher, I mean, you're getting the benefit of the doubt. You're going to get some heaters, you know, in counts that you normally wouldn't. But now, being an everyday hitter, guys are starting to get a book on you. They're starting to figure out where your holes are at. Now it's up to Micah to figure out where his weaknesses are and make the adjustments on that.
Whoa, look out. That bat is up in the stands. And the Astros get out of the inning. Hopefully everybody's all right down there. Look, big smile. Oh, come on. No. We're not giving that back. Oh, no. Oh, no. They better get 2 bats in return for that. Come around and you're going to meet Mike Owings there. Owings strikes out.
There to give it back to him.
You got to keep that in spring training. After 5.5. 4-1 Nats. thinking? That is helicoptering right at this kid.
You got to hold your ground.
Look at this. Oh, man, he kept his position the whole time.
See how he used
and made the play.
To protect him a little bit, and then won the tug of war.
Yeah, look at that.
Stick to your guns, kid. Well played.
Man, you all right? Oh, come on now. Keep the real deal.
Trade here?
He's not trading, is he?
I don't know.
Let's see.
The kid's, he's going to say no if that's a Jeff Blum bat. They were like, no, what are you talking about? I want the... I can't imagine what this monitoring here might be. Unless it's another Micah Owings bat.
Well, but that one just doesn't look nearly as cool.
It's broken. He got a... They gave him a broken bat. Where's the trade-off in that? Oh, here you go.
That is a cool deal.
We're talking about.
That is outstanding.
He had
right there. He had the tug of war going with the kid in the red. They bring him a bat and a ball, and he gives the ball to the kid he won the tug of war with. That is outstanding. Well played, young man.
That was good.
Greg Stammen, the new pitcher, comes in now for the Washington Nationals.
Well done. That was good to see.
Yep. 8th appearance for Stammen. 3.65 ERA. He's given up 13 hits in 12 and a third innings. And has allowed a long ball. Faces Carlos Pena. That misses low. 1-1. This is where the game will test your penmanship, because you got guys all over the place. We're going to play it by ear here, because we can't hear the announcements as well to say who's playing where. And we're doing important stuff during the breaks, like watching the kid chase the baseball bat.
That was important. I'm just glad to see humanity isn't lost. You know,
there you go.
The youth. That was beautiful. Yeah, but by the end of this whole these spring training games, my scorecard ends up being a yard sale of names.
It's like a crossword puzzle. Carlos Pena, we do know that much. He's batting, and Stammen's pitch. 29-year-old delivers and misses outside from Coldwater, Ohio. Went to the University of Dayton, 6'3", 200 pounds. Made 59 appearances last season with the club. All, of course, out of the bullpen. Was very, very solid a year ago. A 2.34 ERA in his appearances with Washington. He and guys like Tyler Clippard at the back half of that bullpen setting things up. And they were good, which is what you need if you're going to be a successful team and make a run in September, and that's what they had.
Yeah, their starting rotation kind of overshadows their bullpen a little bit, but at the same time, if their starting rotation wasn't as good as they are, their bullpen wouldn't be as good either. They'd be getting burned out, like Doug had alluded to earlier. Their starting rotation is going to get them deep into games and allow these guys to be in really good situations.
Jose Veras is starting to warm up in the Astros bullpen. He pitched yesterday, and that's a situation too. And that's, we talked with Brocale earlier. But, you know, now you got to start getting some guys, especially some guys like Cedeno and people that were in the WBC. That's on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. But you start thinking so much about the rotation and who pitches where. And you start thinking about too these relievers and getting them used to being able to go out there. You only have so many innings and so many outs to be able to get guys work in spring training, and you got to start thinking about how I'm going to use the guys in my bullpen and get them ready to be used on back-to-back days once the season starts.
Yeah, that's the thing. Going those back-to-back days, it's always kind of tough trying to work into situations where you can do that. And even though he's coming into the sixth inning, 6th, 7th inning, which isn't his typical role this year, which is going to be the closer, it's good to see him coming out, being healthy enough, and wanting to go to those back-to-back outings.
1-1.
Those closers are tough. I mean, that whole situation, that, the late inning guys, obviously you rely on them quite a bit.
That missed inside too, but not by much. 2-1. Chris Carter,
trying to keep those guys healthy, trying to keep them in rhythm, and it's just a unique situation for those guys in spring training.
Carter, a couple of flyouts in the game. Hit one off the end of the bat. One that looked like he hit it to Disney World earlier, went off the end of the bat right at Bryce Harper. That was a little tardy and fouls that one off. 2-2.
Good job of fighting that off, though. He was probably looking something off speed out over the plate. Got that heater, maybe middle, a little bit in. Take that emergency hack, fight it off, and live another day.
Two. Came across on that one. It's 3-2. Nationals scored a couple of runs early on in this ball game. Scored a run in the third, a run in the fourth, and two more in the fifth.
Good AB. Fight off that fastball, foul it off. Take two more pitches, and you're on first base.
Takes ball four. Astros' big and bright Friday nights are perfect combinations of baseball and family fun. Each Friday night game is followed by a spectacular fireworks show presented by Marathon Oil. Be there for the first big and bright Friday night of the season, April 5th, including a T-shirt giveaway for 10,000 fans by Waste Management. Call 8779-ASTROS or visit astros.com to get your tickets today. The teaching continues. Chris Carter.
Brandon Barnes went into first base to pinch run for him. Chris Carter come back and did a little
good teamwork there. Way to pick me up. I'm reading the
I saw you doing your thing. I noticed that Brandon came running out there.
Well played.
It's a work in progress. I'm
Call Alan Ashby about you. That was a nice assist. Well, Brandon Barnes comes in and he'll be the pinch runner. The Barnes guy we talked about, the versatility, how he'll help this team out. One swung on and missed by Fernando. Wish Allen well and get well soon. He slipped and took a little bit of a fall, but he'll be good to go once the season starts. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby, then now the Ash and Jeff Blum on the road games for the most part this season.
Yeah, but Ash, being the salty veteran that he is, got get the injury out of the way in spring training.
There you go.
You're ready for the regular season.
Don't want to start the season on the DL.
Oh.
Miss out on those spring training games. That's a veteran move right there. And that is yanked by Martinez into right field. He'll read the throw from Bernardina and stay at first. So first and third as Brandon Barnes able to scoot all the way into third base. Now the Astros with a little something cooking with one out here in the inning.
Good piece of hit, and I don't think he's going to get beat by much this year unless he's guessing something completely wrong. Taking advantage of that hole on the right side with the runner on first base.
Well, Trevor Crow comes in to run for Martinez. And Justin Maxwell is your man at the plate. Well, it's been a nice spring for Fernando Martinez. He was hitting .321 coming into this game. Had a knock yesterday. Comes up with that hit there. That's his second hit of the game. So a two-hit game for Fernando Martinez today. Scored a run back in the fourth inning. Justin Maxwell was hit by a pitch. Then he reached on the ball that clanked off the glove of Bryce Harper in left field on that pop-up. That scored the Astros' only run. That brought Fernando Martinez in to score. He was running with two outs in the situation back in the fourth inning. Well, Maxwell didn't get the RBI out of it. It was an unearned run, but that said, Astros were able to get on the board. That's been really all they've been able to do here. One run on 3 hits, and for the second time in the game, Justin Maxwell, the former Washington National, is hit by a pitch, and he looks back a little bit too. And that's one of those things I'm sure that Maxwell understands. That said, it hurts and you're a little mad.
Yeah, but getting hit twice in the same game. I mean, by big league pitchers, Chris Young, who doesn't typically have control issues. Obviously, one got away from him, but getting hit twice in the game is not a good feeling, especially when it gets you on that back elbow. Up closer to the wrist, actually.
Yeah, got it forearm. Yeah, he's pointing right to the spot where he got hit. Yeah.
And when you're a day away from breaking camp and going to play some exhibition games in the big ballpark, heading into the opening day. That's not a good feeling.
Now Rex Jones out there checking on along with Bo Porter. See right there, right on the wrist. You can see right basically on the forearm of the glove, just on the forearm down from the glove, and they'll bring him out.
Hopefully it cut a little more meat than bone. Rex will do a great job of treating that thing. Stem and ice. Stem and ice.
Think?
Yeah. Just don't let him rub that mustache on it. Thing looks gnarly.
A soup strainer there, boy.
Good grief.
So Dominguez will go in to run for Maxwell.
Oh, it's just a little scrape. He's going to be fine. But he used it well to get out of the game and maybe get home a little bit early for tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Look at Rex. See, this is where Rex, being the the elder of the trainers, knowing it's a TV game,
Veteran move. You got to get out there,
taking care of his boys on TV. Yep.
So Trevor Crowe is at second. Astros with the bases loaded now. Dominguez comes in to run it first. It's in there for a strike on the outside corner.
Got the right guy at the plate this spring.
You got some speed on the bases as well. Barnes at third. Dominguez leads away at first. As we said, Trevor Crowe at second base.
Both the catchers for the Astros this spring have been doing a phenomenal job.
Crushing it. Absolutely crushing it back to back because Corcoran is in the on-deck circle.
How about that?
Timing is everything, my friend.
You ain't lying.
I thought it was location, location, location.
Right now it's timing.
The location is to have the right guy at the right time. And that location would be in the batter's box, which is Jason Castro.
True. If he could lift one up into that location in the right center field gap, that'd be even better.
Bases loaded with one out. The 1-1 pitch. Castro fights that one off down the left side. Stammer working in relief off Chris Young, who got the start for the Washington Nationals, pitched very well. Alex White started tonight for the Astros. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs on 9 hits. Brandon Barnes at first, Trevor Crowe at second, and Matt Dominguez leads away from first base. Two pitch to Jason Castro. That's outside. I saw Castro. I looked at the numbers, and then I went to see him for the first time over at the Disney complex against Atlanta on Saturday. And he went an 0 for 2, and I looked at him. He had an absolute seed at one guy. I mean, he went 0 for 2 with a line drive and a ball caught on the warning track. So he is locked in. Didn't play yesterday. Reached on that fielder's choice back in the second on the ball that was misplayed. Flew out to left in the fourth. This is third at bat of the game. Corcoran waits on deck. That one fouled off again on the left side.
He's got to be happy being healthy, at least 100%. I know he was fighting through that ACL tear the last couple of years. Probably didn't have his legs all the way under him last year. It was, to be honest, probably a little tentative. I mean, anytime you have a major injury like that, you're wondering, is my next step going to be the next time it snaps on me or what like that? But, he's got his legs under him. Probably had a good off-season program and came into this season 100%. And it's, proven the hard work is paying off.
I think he worked out right there at Stanford. And, and again, what you say is just because you're back doesn't mean you're necessarily back. You may be back playing, but, you're there to do the best you can, and that's what you do. But that said, you may not be the same player at that point. And the advances that they've come up with especially with the ACLs, are just amazing. Adrian Peterson, you see these guys.
Freak of nature. He set the bar a little too high.
Yeah, that's swung on and missed by Castro, and it's 2 outs. Stammer kind of climbed the ladder, if you will, on him. He was able to beat him upstairs, but here's Carlos Corcoran.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch. That was similar to the one he fought off earlier in the AB. Stammen came back with it. Maybe Castro was thinking something a little off speed and beat him with it. But we're still not in bad shape. We got Carlos up there in a good situation with a lot of runners on base.
Bases loaded. He is truly one of the feel-good stories of this camp because he is a guy. I mean, he just is. just a good guy. I mean, always with a smile on his face and always a big laugh and a joke to tell people. You got to really like a guy, pull for a guy like Carlos Corcoran. We were in Milwaukee last year, and I looked down from the booth, and there was a guy in a Carlos Corcoran jersey, a white Milwaukee Brewers Carlos Corcoran jersey. So I looked him up, went through his game log. He never played a home game for the Brewers.
You got to be a pretty good dude.
That's what I said. That's what I said. I went down and talked to the guy in the stands. It was like, he got in one of those sales where they sell stuff out of the clubhouse. Anyway, we're getting on the elevator later. I told Carlos this story because it was obviously a jersey that had never been worn because he never played a home game. And he got the biggest kick out. He laughed, and they just thought that was absolutely great. But there was a guy.
Legendary.
That was a guy in the stands at Miller Park wearing a Carlos Corcoran home white Brewers jersey.
That's pretty impressive.
And he never played a home game for the Brewers.
He's probably the guy in the stands probably wore it more than.
There's no doubt, unless he took a picture in it. That one swung on and fouled off again. Stam getting ahead in the count, 0-2. But he just thought that was so funny. You're kidding? No, that was dead serious. Yeah, keeping a low profile.
Yeah, with the Kentucky Derby.
Just trying to make sure the paparazzi stays away.
Husband's a Rangers fan. She doesn't want to be seen being an Astros fan, I guess.
Here's the 0-2. Corcoran fouls that one back.
Fighting off some tough pitches.
Brandon Barnes leads away from third base. Trevor Crowe, the runner, at second, and Matt Dominguez at first. Astros with the bases loaded. Got something cooking here. Barnes came into pinch run for Chris Carter, who had a one-out walk here in the inning. Fernando Martinez single. Crowe is his pinch runner. Justin Maxwell was hit by a pitch, and Dominguez is running for him. And that is all I know. Here's the 0-2. That one swung on and played by Ian Desmond. I thought he was going to be able to squeak one over the infielder, but the Astros leave him loaded in the sixth. Sportsmanship, you bet. 4-1, Washington. First, let's take you through our game summary as the Washington Nationals, they got things cooking. Run comes in to score in the fourth inning after they scored in the third. Astros would get one back here as Bryce Harper with a little help. That would score Martinez. That's the Astros' only run in the fifth, though. Nationals went right back to work as Zimmerman, double play, but the run would come in to score. And then Adam LaRoche. That ball, watch him drop his head. Oh, man. Yeah, that ball got up in the jet stream and flew out of here. And that is where we stand, a 4-1 right now. Kevin Eschenfelder, Jeff Blum back with you here at Osceola County Stadium. Next to the last home spring training game for the Houston Astros. And Jose Veras comes in to pitch. That's a strike in there to Roger Bernardino. Veras making his 6th appearance. It's been a mixed bag, a 7.71 ERA so far in 4 2/3. He'll be the closer on this team for the Astros. Came over in that trade from the Milwaukee Brewers. Originally signed by the Tampa Bay Rays back in 1998. He's 32 years old. Made his debut in 2006.
Kind of wonder if he's got any adrenaline left for spring training after what they went through with WBC.
A little bit of passion there, would you agree?
I agree. Yeah, it was fun to watch. I don't know if I'd want to be on the field with all that going on.
I said he was traded. I beg your pardon. He was signed as a free agent by the Astros. He was traded from the Pirates to the Brewers. That was in the Casey McGee deal. Third baseman.
Interesting.
That was back in 2011. The Astros signed him as a free agent on December 21st. Thought that didn't sound right. We're in the 7th. Roger Bernardina is the batter. Veras delivers. He goes down on strikes. 1 away.
Showing a good heater and a good breaking ball to get him to 1-2. Then blew him away with the high heat.
Now Tyler Moore gets his first at bat. He came in as a pinch runner for Ryan Zimmerman. Beg your pardon. Tyler Moore is in at first base. This is where he gets. This is where he gets a little dicey. He didn't pinch run because Zimmerman. It was a straight up switch. And Moore,
it's not good.
Takes the ball.
The right arrows on my scorecard. Trying to redirect traffic.
This is and this is one of those situations where you, for the most part, you can just pretty much hang this one up as far as the scorecard is concerned. Just trying to figure out who's playing where.
That ball hit high and deep, but not deep enough. And see what this does. That didn't even make it. As Brandon Laird even smiled at that one. That didn't even make it to the warning track. That was into the wind, if you will. Look, see, he's saying, I have no clue.
You can almost read his lips. He goes, I thought that ball was gone. I'm sure in his head he thought he was going to have to go back to the wall and try and rob it. But with that wind blowing so far in, Clarkie's now on the top step, redirecting everybody. But the wind had a huge effect on that fly ball. That ball was hit well.
Like that's where he changed right there. Changed directions.
I love the smiles on these guys, you know, when you make a play like that, because everybody knows what's going on.
But Chad Tracy, the batter.
That's the first time I've seen Laird in left field. I don't know if he's done that too much this spring. It's good to see Brandon with a smile on his face, considering how his spring has gone and the letdown of not making the team out of spring.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about, was that, you know, you're in a situation there where you got to go down there and keep with the right attitude, and keep pushing the right way, and sooner or later your phone's going to ring and you'll be back. Especially a young guy like Brandon Laird.
No doubt.
Because the way he, you know, all you can do is what you can do. Do your best whenever the big league eyes are on you, and that was what he did here in minor league camp. That ball is yanked way foul.
That ball's going to be over the clubhouse.
Yeah, that good grief. You got all of that one.
In Australia, that'd be a wicked googly.
You think so?
Yeah.
You can't do that with a computer, can you?
No, but I'll give it my best shot.
There you go. Chad Tracy, Washington last year. That played sparingly, ended up with 93 at bats. Hit 269, now getting his chance here in big league camp. That one hit the left field as well.
Tap dancing out there.
8 steps back and 6 steps back in, but he made the play. Stretch time here in Kissimmee. My bad. 4-1 Washington on top.
Astros finished spring training at Minute Maid Park. A couple of games against the Chicago Cubs. We'll have the first game of the series starting Friday at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Your home for your home teams. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby will be there for the call. Stammen goes back to the mound. And Jose Martinez, who came in to play second base, will lead it off here in the inning. Jose Martinez batting in the 9-hole. See the numbers this spring in 18 games, hitting .320, driven in 3. Oof. Not going to get cheated.
Don't know with that stick right now.
Stammen came in. He's in his second inning of work here for the Nationals. And they finally get some work going in the bullpen.
Drew Storen?
Yeah, I think so. That's Storen warming up. It is. Jose Martinez facing the 1-2 pitch. That one fouled off. Got a piece of that one. Astros start the season with 18 straight games against the American League West. They get tested early.
So if you want to get tested, you want to get tested early, and they're getting it.
Yeah, Martinez slices that one into right center field. The leadoff single brings up Marwin Gonzalez.
A pretty reasonable road trip to start out the season, too.
Yeah, well, you know that's the thing, though. You get them. You're gonna play 81 there and 81 here. So, but you're right. It is going to be a test early. That goes without saying. There you see 3 against the Rangers. And then you got 3 against Oakland at home, but then you hit the road. You go to Oakland, you go to Anaheim, you go to Seattle.
It's a big road trip, especially here from Texas.
End of April,
Seattle.
Yeah, you go to Boston and New York. Coast. After that, that's later on in the month. But you got a lot of games away from Minute Maid Park. They're coming up in April. Marwin hits that one through the hole. Marwin Gonzalez with a single. Runners at first and second here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Something going.
Got that right. And the Astros could have just put the names on the backs of the spring training jerseys. That would have helped immensely. A nice little piece of hitting.
The way my eyesight's going, I don't know if that would have helped. Good grief.
Oh, come on. Brandon Laird. 319 this spring. Again, he'll start the season in the minor leagues. He was informed of that. As of we know, he was informed today or probably yesterday. I'm sure they gave these guys about a day's notice before they told us. But, you go down, you do your best, and all you can do is, and you made a great point earlier. If nothing else, you're making an impression not only on your club, but you're also making an impression on other clubs that are scouting here in Florida. It's outside.
It's obvious with the player movement in this new generation, in the last 15, 20 years, that loyalty has gone by the wayside. So knowing that with the expansions that have happened with teams being added, there's now 30 ball clubs and 29 other than the one you're playing for. You make a good impression with these guys, maybe they'll give you a recommendation, but for the time being, he's a Houston Astro and getting another hit.
Yeah, it's in there. Had to hold up, so you got the bases loaded and nobody out.
Look at Bo Porter's laughing, knowing that Brandon Laird got a hit after they unfortunately had to demote him. But Brandon Laird taking it in stride, doing a great job with it. 2 tough calls right there with Brandon Laird and Trevor Crowe. Both guys had great spring trainings, not on the roster, which may have been an issue. But Brandon Barnes playing great throughout this spring, doing it on offense and defense.
Jonathan Singleton will come to the plate with the bases loaded and nobody out. That's in there for a strike.
Generous call by Greg Gibson.
Singleton, 284 last season at AA. Corpus Christi, and Singleton obviously a big-time prospect, a guy that a lot of people expect big things from. He will be suspended for the first 50 games of the season. That misses. Ball 1. 1-1 for Singleton. He's a guy that made some mistakes, owned up to it, said, I learned something, and we'll move on from here. And it's going to cost him 50 games. And, Jeff Luhnow was really, forthcoming when he talked about it. That ball hit a bullet up the middle and over the head, all the way to the wall. This is going to score at least 2 and will tie the game.
Very nice.
Jonathan Singleton, a bullet to center field, a 3-run triple, and the Astros tie it at 4.
That ball was scalded.
Oh, man.
That was awesome. Taking advantage of the opportunities. Singleton showing some of that prospectitis that they tagged him with. Bases juiced.
Man, that ball was stung. I wish you were in the ballpark to see this.
This ball's annihilated. Hit a ball that low out of those thunders off the bat, but you can see the read. Bernardino is actually Denard Span.
Yeah, it's Denard Span still in center field.
That's a major league potential Gold Glove center fielder. He beat on a line drive over his head. Does a great job, and I think he had his mind made up as soon as it got over his head that he was going to chase whoever it was off of third base and force him to score. That was great. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. So 3 straight singles and a 3-base hit for Singleton ties the game. A 3-run triple for Jonathan Singleton. And here's Brandon Barnes.
Yeah, that was impressive. I mean, those are, you can't, that's another thing. You can't see that. You got to see it in person.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't translate.
It was great.
That is a strong young man right there.
Yeah, he just overpowered and compressed that thing past Denard.
Now Brandon Barnes talking with the home plate umpire. What's that about?
I have no idea. I wonder if something happened to Brandon. Maybe he asked for a breather. Sometimes you take a little bit of an awkward swing, you tweak something, you kind of step out, and the umpire's harping on you. You're like, hey, give me a second here. Regroup.
That misses ball 1.
Or maybe he said, hey, next pitch is going to be right down the middle. Call it a ball.
You think?
It was pretty close right there. Close pitch to take.
I doubt it. That's Greg Gibson. That's a veteran. And Storen working in the bullpen. That's a good pitch. Gets away. I'll have to hold it up.
Sure, somebody better tag somebody.
Yeah, because
Greg Gibson shouldn't take that ball.
They call that. Nobody's called anything right now. That's going to be interesting right here.
Yeah.
Now he's out because nobody called anything. The home plate umpire, both hands down.
Yeah, Greg Gibson said live ball. You see him explaining it right here.
Well, Brandon Barnes took off to start to run to first base, which is what he should have. So often is the case, you'll see with a base runner on. Sometimes players don't know the rules. That bag's not occupied.
Well, the way the ball squirted away may have thrown both players off, but you can tell Gibson stuck to his call that the ball was live because the ball hit the ground. Nobody occupying first base on the swing, so there's a 3rd strike.
Well, I don't know if Barnes was maybe trying to sell that it was a foul ball.
You never know. I saw something in
the dirt.
2005 with the White Sox that A.J. Pierzynski played it off pretty good, and it turned out to be a big rally for us.
What was the ball? That one in the dirt. There was a ball, a Minnesota Twin, and I can't remember who it was last year. Hit the ball, right-handed hitter off the end of the bat, and it literally went 8 feet into the grass on the first base side, spun and went back into fair territory. I mean, if you want to YouTube it, Google it, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. Put a little.
It looked like it was
English
headed towards the on-deck circle and almost stopped, checked up. It looked like a wedge and just started spinning back and went fair.
Yeah, some of these guys, they use bats that are cupped, so they'll take maybe an ounce or an ounce and a half out of the end of the bat, but it'll be cupped. And apparently this guy defied the laws of physics and caught that ball just right to create so much torque on it that it did go foul and came back fair.
Well, Barnes strikes out, so here is Trevor Crow. 2-0 to Crow. Fouled away. 2 balls and a strike. Trevor Crow's another one of those guys that, he was a bubble guy, had a chance to make this team. Kind of a veteran. He spent some time with the Cleveland Indians. He's earned his stripes through the minor leagues, and he's been, for the most part, a guy that spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. And thought he had a chance here, played well, numbers game, and just Brandon Barnes was just a guy that offered more in that situation to be able to do. And, it's one of those deals. Sometimes you can do all you can do, and you just don't make the team. But, again, do what you can when you can, and that's what he was able to do. Infield was pulled in, and the Astros take a 5-4 lead. It's Trevor Crow with an RBI single up the middle, scores Jonathan Singleton, and Houston, for the first time tonight, is on top.
Good piece of hitting right there by Trevor Crow. Recognize the infield playing in. These guys have got a great approach when they come to the plate. They recognize situations, take advantage of them. Doesn't try and do too much.
Nope.
Just put it back up the middle. There's a lot of hits right back up the box. And getting back to, Trevor Crow and Brandon Laird having to be sent down, that's Jeff Lono making the adjustment with the depth on his roster. This is a part of the versatility and depth they needed in this organization. He's done a great job of accruing those guys.
Astros with a 4-run inning. They're not done yet. New pitcher. We'll come back and tell you about it in a moment. Seventh. 3 of those 4 runs coming off the bat. One swing, and mighty swing it was from Jonathan Singleton. Look at this.
Short, compact, no stride even.
None.
Unloads the fury on that poor baseball.
That ball was hit as hard as you're going to see a baseball hit that stays in the yard.
I agree.
And it was a 2-iron that, looked like it was just right over the pitcher's head and continued to elevate over Denard Span, who's a very solid center fielder. He couldn't make the play, and that came with the bases loaded and nobody out. The Astros now lead at 5-4. Matt Dominguez takes high up ball. 1-1, 1 out. Still 1 out here in the inning.
This is his first and only swing of the day, too.
Yeah, he didn't waste any time.
Good grief. Announcer presence with authority.
There you see Drew Storen, the numbers on him. Made 37 appearances a year ago for the Washington Nationals. Crow going, and he's in there easily. It's Trevor Crow with the stolen base. Ramos had no chance of getting him. Now you got another runner in scoring position with already 4 in the inning.
Yeah, Storen's motion too. He's a little deliberate getting to the plate. Interesting that he was looking in the whole time, but he had a great jump and got in there easy. And the reason I say interesting is most guys, when they do steal a bag intentionally, they put their head down and go. Don't even look in.
Dominguez hits that ball hard, and that one will go all the way to the wall. Trevor Crow comes in to score, and Dominguez wheels into second with a stand-up RBI double. And the Astros lead it 6-4.
This is getting good. Don't turn away. Dominguez does a great job of getting on top of the ball and creating so much backspin and really driving that thing past the left fielder. But you look at these guys, when I say short swing, he's so direct to the ball. And once he gets to that contact point, is able to drive through it and put it past Mike Owings cutting across.
Remember, Matt Dominguez is a guy that they got from the Marlins last July, in the Carlos Lee deal.
That's amazing.
He was a big-time prospect that really had never quite panned out for the Florida Marlins. He'll be your opening day third baseman more than likely when the club opens the season on Sunday against the Texas Rangers.
I like it, yeah. Good bat speed. These guys are showing great swings at the plate.
There's Jason Castro.
And these aren't, these aren't pitchers late in the game, especially today. There are any slouches. Stammen's on the roster. Storen's their closer.
That's
on these guys.
Exactly. That's a big part of their bullpen. So Corcoran has come in at the DH. He subbed for the DH. So Castro stays in at catcher. We're just taking it one batter at a time right now.
That's all you can do. Keep it simple.
Just like life. Astros with 5 runs in here in the 7th. Looking for more. Leading 6-4.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Matt Dominguez. I think he's got a real bright future, obviously, but he's going to be fun to watch progress throughout the season.
That was fouled back. Jason Castro struck out in an RBI situation back in the 6th. The Astros had making some noise back in the 6th, and they had a couple of runners on and weren't able to push anything across.
Took a funky swing right there. That see a hitter take a swing and that bottom hand comes off. Usually, there's not enough pine tar or stick them on there. A little hyper aggressive sometimes. We can tweak that wrist a little bit. Hopefully keep both hands on it this time and drive one.
2-2 pitch from Drew Storen. Jason Castro with the Astros leading 6-4. 5 runs in. That one in the dirt on the breaking ball. Fills the count at 3-2. A little chilly here tonight, hasn't it?
Yep. That breeze kicks up. Sun goes down. Little cool front behind the monsoon you guys had yesterday.
That was a swing and a miss. That's the second out of the inning as Jason Castro goes down swing. You said you liked the way that Dominguez's approach at the plate. You see who this was against. That's a Aroldis Chapman. That's turning around about a $101 right there. That's 101 mile an hour fastball at least.
I don't care if you know it's coming, you're ready for it. Still to be able to square that up and drive it out of the ballpark. I mean, that's great. That's good stuff.
That ended a long string of consecutive saves at the time for Aroldis Chapman. Remember that roll he was on back in September? I think that was September 7th.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff. Oh, to be young and talented.
He is that.
Or bundled up and warm.
And she is that.
Well, I've got this pillar in front of me knocking down the breeze, so I'm in good shape, man. This is awesome.
This is
You're
not
over there taking the brunt of it.
This is not exactly optimum broadcast positioning here for us, but hey, we're making do. We're having a good time doing it.
I'm like Tyson over here watching this game. You're ducking
and weaving, bobbing and weaving.
Well, Carlos Corcoran here with 2 outs and a 1-1 pitch. Jose Martinez is on deck. That misses high and away.
See, here's our situation.
Yeah. You can't
we can't see. We got the window up here, but if you look over here, look. See, this is what Blummer's sitting right behind. That is respect. That's big league respect right there, my friend.
I'm getting the rookie treatment over here.
He bobs and weaves. He goes back and forth like this to watch the game. And see, the flip side of that, he's a lot warmer because the breeze can't come through this pillar that's holding the whole stadium together.
Good grief. I couldn't get on the couch sitting there calling this game. But to give you perspective, I have a huge head. And this pole is still, hiding me. I mean, this thing's amazing.
Oh, hey, you know what?
But I am in good
worse
shape.
places.
There's no goosebumps.
Yeah, see, I'm over here freezing. There's a pitch to Corcoran, pops that one up. The Astros have an inning. They score 5 runs on 6 hits. The big blow. Big Jonathan Singleton. A 3-run triple, and the Astros take the lead. 6-4 going to the 8th. Some news and notes from the American League this week is the Texas Rangers making some moves. They're going to the big guy that is in there, Jurickson Profar. He's going to start the season at AAA, and that really pretty much, he had a chance to make the club, but it's not surprising that you see a big-time prospect start out of camp in AAA. That'll be the case. Oakland A's with those 5 guys vying for the starting job at second base, and they'll have to figure that out. Whether or not Vernon Wells will become going from the Los Angeles Angels to the New York Yankees, well, what'll happen there? Seattle, a lot of things up in the air as far as they're concerned, but they will hit the baseball out of the ballpark. Morales and Morse with 6 home runs each lead the American League.
Yeah, that Jurickson Profar situation it's tough. I mean, as good as he is, it's tough moving all-star infielders around to make room for a rookie.
Yeah, and again, you get an opportunity for a guy like that to play every day.
That's what you want. Yeah,
Yep.
You want him to get those consistent ABs.
Chad Tracy will lead it off here as Hector Ambriz comes in to pitch for the Houston Astros.
Another curious guy for me is Jason Bay up in Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of disappeared off the map. I wonder if he's going to be able to make a comeback, up there.
It was strange. I mean, he was in Pittsburgh, and he was the guy. He was the it guy, the guy that everybody talks about. and especially at that time with Pittsburgh, because every time the trade deadline came up, Jason Bay was the guy. Ends up going to New York. And
he's
never fit in as far as the Mets were concerned. Well, and Nady went to the Yankees, but this was a different. He ended up going to the Mets, but. I mean, it just never panned out. He just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Had that high ceiling, had a couple injuries, knocked him down, and then an extreme lack of production by his standards and by what the Mets expected to get in return. And they cut him loose.
Well, he's hitting .319 in spring right now, so we'll see whether or not he will make it back. Hector Ambrose came up, spent some time with the Astros last year. Valencia High School in California. That's a tough play there. Throw across. That is well done by Matt Dominguez. In fact, you can't do it any better than that. Good heavens, what a play.
Great play. Charging in like that. Probably debating on whether or not to go with the bare hand or not. Took kind of a funky hop to his right, and he reached across his body with his glove. Still had the quickness to get the ball into his glove and make a strong throw over to first base.
Big time right there.
It's a future corner combo right there. Dominguez to Singleton.
Yeah, how about that?
Not a bad look considering what's happened tonight already in just a matter of inning or two.
Hector Ambrose delivers. Got all kind of changes now, and this is Carlos Maldonado. He's come in to hit for the Washington Nationals, 3 for 11 here in spring training in his 13 games. You're going to bring him, you're going to play him. It's Davey Johnson tonight.
Okay, hello.
You look a little bit deeper into some guys' numbers like Jason Bays over in Seattle, hitting .319 in spring, but still 47 at-bats, 16 punch-outs. There's going to be some holes in there. You wonder how that's going to translate into a full season again, or because once you get under the bright stage and the big lights and the expectations of what his name carries with it and the reputation he's developed over the last couple of years, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts.
Jason Bay, he always seemed like a kind of a low-key guy. Reminds me of a little Battle Roche. Does that make a little sense? I mean, it has that same type of approach.
Cool Canadian.
That's right.
Jam.
Man, you're not kidding. That'll sting for a while.
Gotta clean up the splinters up here. That was a good one.
2 outs. Wilson Ramos, the batter.
You got history with Vince Coleman?
And I don't have no, but I think Vince Coleman has history with me. Vince?
Say, he's fish eyeing us up here.
I know. He's in the booth next to us. And Vince Coleman, the Astros minor league base running instructor, giving a hard time through the glass. Don't look at him. It just encourages him.
Astros have done a good job. I mean, they're stealing more bases, making things happen on the base pass.
It's funny. While Vince Coleman's a great player, I was one of my first times at AT&T in San Francisco. I was in the booth with Bill Brown, and I was leaning against the glass, and they were doing the game, Brownie and JD, and the guy on the other side of the glass, and people don't know, in press boxes, a lot of times it's glass walls that separate the two rooms. I was leaning against my side, and the guy was leaning against his side. I kind of moved over a little bit, and I looked over, and it was Willie Mays.
Oh, my.
How about that? There's E. Smiley.
Big E.
Enos Cabell. There's another one that likes to give me a hard time. That's a quality room right there.
They've got stories for stories.
Ramos able to get that one into right field for a single. That's a second hit of the night. Looking for the perfect way to combine business and baseball or a unique space to hold your next event? Well, state-of-the-art meeting spaces, Minute Maid Park can surpass all of your needs. Call 713-259-8800 for more information. Don't forget to ask about softball games and batting practice. Done both at Minute Maid Park, and that is very cool. Something that, as obviously you're a big league player, take it for granted, but to just have a layman like myself to come out and be able to swing it at Minute Maid Park, that is a really cool experience.
Yeah, it gives you a whole new appreciation for what it's like to be on that field. Yeah.
How big that field is.
Even Minute Maid, yeah.
That's
there
right.
are parts where they play real big.
Lombardozzi takes that one for a ball, but Ramos will be able to move up. Hector Amber's in it, pitching right now for the Astros.
And a new catcher.
That's
that
right.
guy.
That is Rene Garcia.
There you go. Nice work. Went for the smother and it ricocheted off that left wrist.
That's in there for a strike. Ambrose came to the big club last year. He went to UCLA. He was drafted by the Diamondbacks in the 5th round back in 2006. He's 28 years old. Pitched with the Astros last year. Only 1-1 with a 4.19 ERA. Pitched 19 1/3 innings last season. Worked in 18 games for Houston. Previously had worked for the Cleveland Indians back in 2010. He was a guy that had the Tommy John surgery. Lombardozzi hits that one into right. They'll hold the runner. And a good throw to the plate.
Yeah, that ball didn't hit just too hard to allow the runner to score from second base.
That was Trevor Crowe came up throwing.
It was a good, strong throw in, yeah.
Let's see if he can get out of here. You talk about dropping the head of the bat on the ball. That's a great example of it by Steve Lombardozzi.
Just see Trevor did a good job of charging that ball, catching on one hop.
One hop, that hop, that high hop that you're able to come up throwing off of it too.
Yeah, third base coaches are usually trying to recognize how many hops it takes to get to that guy, and if you charge that ball and cut down on the hops, it makes the third base coach's job real easy just to shut those guys down early and not take the chance of getting thrown out at home.
Here's Denard Span. Span with runners at first and third. Astros leading by 2, and Span hits a 3-hopper right at the second baseman. And Jose Martinez throws him out. Through 7.5, the Astros on top, 6-4. For the Nationals, 6-9-0 for the Houston Astros. Houston Rockets basketball coming up on Wednesday night, and they are all big this time of year. Rockets trying to make that playoff push. Houston could go into play against the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday night as tied for the 6th seed in the West. Golden State Warriors at home tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers can pull that win out. The Rockets will fall into that tie. Bill Worrell will have the call for that one along with Matt Bullard. The Rockets and the Indiana Pacers at home as they continue that 7-game homestand. So join Bill, Clyde, and Bull for the call of the game right here on CSN. Houston got a new pitcher. I was doing a promo. Who is it?
J.C. Romero.
Man, you're good. Well played.
Veteran left-hander. Just signed a minor league deal, I believe, with them. But he has got some serious time put in with Philadelphia. Looks like St. Louis and Baltimore.
Yeah, he's been around. I mean, J.C. Romero's spent most of his time. I think of him as a St. Louis Cardinal for the most part. He's a guy that's been a lot of different places, and we talked about this, a lot of stickers on the bag. Spent most of the time with the Minnesota Twins, went on to the Angels in 2006. He came to the big leagues in 1999. You don't find a lot of guys.
Ages ago. I mean, the guys that played back then are fossils.
Jeff Blum was a kid. 99, he came up with Minnesota. That's right. Angels in 2006, Boston in 2007. And he was with the Philadelphia Phillies 2007 through 2011. Colorado, St. Louis, and Baltimore last 3 stops for J.C. Romero. That's all I got.
Standard situational left-handed pitchers.
Yep.
Made a living of it.
You can. I mean, they can stay around a long, long time.
Sinker, changeup, a little bit of a slider, but mostly fastballs away, changeups away.
Astros got 5 runs in the 7th inning, and they lead 6-4. That one thrown in the dirt, but dug out nicely there. Tyler Moore, a little backhand action in the dirt, was able to bail his teammate out, and there's one away. Turn it over to the top of the order is Jose Martinez, who had scored on that single, grounds out here, and here's Marwin Gonzalez.
Good to see Marwin from the right side of the plate.
That's where he has struggled. Remember, we looked at those splits earlier, and he was under 200 from the right side.
Yep, I remember playing for Jimmy Williams, and at the same time, Morgan Ensberg was the up-and-comer. But, you know, a right-handed hitter, and me being a switch hitter, hitting from the left side, it worked into a pretty good platoon combo.
How do you stay sharp from both sides? Being as a switch hitter, how do you make sure that, you know, obviously you can't face a whole lot of live left-handed pitching, but you got to, how do you stay sharp from the right side?
You've got to just get in the cage. It's one of the, it's that evil twin that you got to hang out with every once in a while. And people don't realize, you know, guys that from one side of the plate can go out and take all the rounds of BP on one side of the plate, narrow things down, really focus and work on things. But if I'm going good left-handed, I've got to get in the cage right-handed. I mean, that means twice as much work. So I've got a lot of respect for these switch hitters that can do it at the big league level, especially guys like Lance Berkman.
Oh.
You know, and some of these, and Chipper Jones, to be as good as they've been for as long as they've been, and to put up the power numbers from both sides of the plates is what impresses me the most.
And you look at two of the all-time greatest switch hitters. When you talk baseball history, and you know, I try not to overuse the word great, but you're looking at 2 of the greatest switch hitters
yeah, you can say
in Major League history, basically played at the exact same time. And Chipper Jones, who may be the greatest. Mickey Mantle's in there obviously as well. Yeah. And between Chipper Jones,
Eddie Murray,
you know, Lance Berkman, Eddie Murray is a great one right there. He's in that conversation as well. But you know, Lance is not the greatest, but he's certainly he's at the party. He's got a seat at the table.
And it's one of those things, your right-handed swing never, I mean, it doesn't really mirror the other swing. So it's kind of tough to, if you're working on something right-handed, it's not going to be necessarily the same thing you're working on left-handed. So it's a fine line to walk, but at the same time, you've got to be dedicated to it. You've got to work on it. I know Marwin hasn't been great at it, but I'm sure he's in the cage doing what he can.
Did you start switching? You didn't start until you were in college, right?
Yeah, it was my freshman year in college. I was scuffling and hitting left-handed, and my college coach is like, stick with it. I'm like, man, forget this. I stink, and I'm hurting. I felt like I was hurting the team, and said, hey, I'm gonna go back to right-handed. He said, you hit right-handed, I'm going to take away your scholarship, and you can go home. And I went, I guess I'm hitting left-handed today, boys. Probably the best move I've ever made.
That's what I know. You said I thank him every 1st and 15th.
Oh, you ain't lying.
For many years.
Yes.
No, and I think that would be the big detriment to it. The stumbling block is obviously, you know, even if you're playing in high school or whether it's little league or whatever, you got guys that they want success at that time, and there's going to be times when you're learning, you're struggling, and you're going to struggle in games while you're learning, and that's, you know, just like
tough.
You said.
Yeah.
And to tell you what, I'll just hang it up. And you know, Lance talked about how his dad had a tree in the backyard, hung a tire from a tree, and made him take however many hacks, left-handed or whatever the offhand was, right-handed, I think. And that's basically how he learned.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's how that outside influence kind of, you know, persuades you to keep working, how to battle through that. But that's the beauty of being a young man in college as opposed to a coach that's got a mountain of experience behind him.
Laird fouls that one off. Brandon Laird, one of 3 that scored on most impressive swing of the night. Jonathan Singleton's triple to center field that broke this game open back in the 7th inning. The Astros were trailing 4-1. They put a 5 spot on the board in the 7th. And Cedeno warms up. He may close this game out. That swing and a miss. So the Astros go down in order in the 8th. We go to the 9th with Houston leading 6-4. Astros go to the 9th inning, leading it 6-4. New pitcher in for Houston is Xavier Cedeno, looking to close this one out. Send the Astros for their 13th win here in the spring. There's a guy that can get it there in a hurry. I don't know, that ERA of 3 pitched in the World Baseball Classic.
Another good lefty out of the bullpen. See that average against left-handed hitters down to 143. It's quite appealing when you've got guys like Josh Hamilton coming to the dish.
Yeah, you think if he's going to change teams, at least get him out of the division. Not the case.
So true.
Trevor just gets a little more full there in Anaheim. Micah Owings swings through that pitch. Owings, we talked about him being a pitcher and a guy that's able to make that transition, and certainly he was able to do that. 0 for 1 tonight. Punched out back in the 6th inning. Trying to make this club here in Washington. Cedeno can bring it.
It's a good pitch right there. I like that.
Up under the hands, under the arms.
The hitter takes a good, big, aggressive swing on that first pitch. Next pitch, back him up a little bit. They pull a string on him.
And yeah, you see how
it's called setting him up.
You see Owings with his the helmet tilted like, man, did you just do that to me?
Got me.
What's this? There it is. Watch this. There he did it again. Swing and a miss. And Owings goes down swinging to start here in the 9th.
I love Micah. He's a great dude, but those were pitcher swings right there.
They were. 2013, a whole new ball game for the Houston Astros. And prorated season ticket packages and flexible mini packages are available now. To learn about all the exclusive benefits and pricing, or visit your ticket packages today. Call 1-877-ASTROS or visit astros.com to get more information about those ticket packages today. That's what Jeff Blum meant to say.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Roger Bernardino's the batter.
You know, getting back to the 9 guys, they're making their opening day, debut for the first time. I mean, it's a tremendous feeling, and they actually got the call to go into the office and got announced. I never got that. I remember my spring training, I walked in, I was with Felipe Alou, was the manager in Montreal. And we started getting towards the end of camp, and I was kind of a bubble guy because I was backing up Orlando Cabrera and Jose Vidro at second. And I had a good spring, but nobody ever said anything. And I made the team halfway through the season the year before, so I didn't know I was on the team.
Right.
We're getting through the season, getting towards the end of spring, and I'm kind of looking around. I'm seeing lockers disappear, guys are disappearing. I'm still sitting there, keep looking around.
Keep your head down, man.
I started wearing camo to the field, and we're breaking camp. It's getaway day.
You didn't know which way you're going.
I had a suit and some street clothes, and I was game ends. I go back in, and I'm like, man, what am I doing here? So I just put on my suit. I'm asking some of the veteran guys. I'm like, what's the story? Does he announce the team, or what's going on? They're like, you haven't said anything to you? I'm like, nope. They're like, well, I'll just try and get on the team plane and see what happens.
You're on the manifest?
Yeah. So I walk up, show the ID. I'm like, here to go to Montreal. They're like, sure, go ahead. I guess. Yeah, I got on. My name was on the lineup card opening day, and I figured that was it. Yeah.
That's kind of. Did you ever talk to Felipe about that?
Oh, this guy. I just assumed that you knew you were on the team. I didn't think I had to tell him.
That's good. That's good, Felipe too.
Yeah. We had plenty of time to
work on
chuckle with him.
Exactly. It's good stuff. Astros announcing that to 9 players today. Maxwell, Barnes, among those. Here's the pitch to Bernardino. That is in there for a strike.
And that's why Xavier's making that debut on that opening day roster right there. Great pitch.
Here's some of the guys with him. Justin Maxwell, Brandon Barnes, Chris Carter, Brad Peacock, Alex White, Carlos Corcoran, Fernando Martinez, Matt Dominguez, and the aforementioned Xavier Cedeno. All will be on the opening day roster for the very first time. It all starts on Sunday night. 2 away here in the 9th.
And why not do it against the Texas Rangers?
Yep.
There's going to be some heart beating in that game.
First ever American League game. Chad Tracy, the batter. Stick around. Coming up next, it's Astros post-game live. Marius Payton, Adam Wexler back to tell us about this one. Here from Bo Porter as well. That's inside 1-1. Astros were down 4-1 in this game. Put a 5 spot on the board in the 7th. They lead it 6-4. That misses high. 2-1.
Getaway days in spring are always fun. Like tomorrow, that could be an hour-and-a-half game.
Oh, yeah. It's like the last game of the season between two teams that aren't in it.
Yeah. Mandatory first pitch swinging.
Oh, yeah. Big-time fines for...
That is true. Kangaroo Court pretty much starts right there.
Taking pitches. That misses. Remember Doug Harvey, the umpire, white-haired umpire that was around forever? He did his last game in the Astrodome. And that thing, he told everybody, stay loose, boys. It's my last one. We're not going to be here long. Two teams out of contention. It didn't take long. Did he? No, he did not. So Chad Tracy draws the walk. Now Chad Tracy's, I beg your pardon, I said Chad Tracy drew the walk. Here's Chad Tracy. What do you think? Yeah, he held up.
Yeah, he did hold up. Just some close ones right on the edge. But I don't think Lance Barksdale realizes that could have been the third punch out of the inning for Xavier Cedeno.
I'd have given him the benefit of the doubt.
I agree, yeah. 3 punch outs to end the game with a big comeback win. That would have been real nice.
The integrity of the call.
Even in spring.
Astros lead at 6-4. Cedeno in that WBC, big part of that win as he was able to ride it through. And you know, you talk about, you watch the World Baseball Classic, and I think it was a great example of why you see a lot of the Latin players that come here and don't seem terribly nervous or fazed by playing under the bright lights of the major leagues, because my goodness, if they go down there and play under that type of pressure in winter ball, you know, Sparky's told me so many times about winter ball and how much pressure there is in these games, and a lot of intensity. So they come to the big leagues, and while it is more pressure and it's all relative. It's all where you're standing, and those guys are used to.
Yeah, and they all go play winter ball in that situation. That is, I mean, they don't have an offseason. They go down and play in that same atmosphere that the WBC saw. Is the same atmosphere they're playing at in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. So, yeah, like you said, I mean, it's just, they were probably happy to see it over here in the States.
Tyler Moore, the runner at first. They won't hold him. Chad Tracy. That one popped up, and this should do it. And that's what you look for. You're shaking hands at the end of a baseball game. The Astros with a 5-run 7th inning. Jonathan Singleton coming up with the big hit, a 3-run triple. We'll be back to recap things in a moment. Your final score.